Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show. It's going to be a big day. Brought to you by our friends at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. If you have a party you need to throw, if you have a corporate event, if you want a romantic date night with a particular sports fan, they'll hook you up on all fronts. 1717 South Main, Utah's #1 sports bar, Utah's #1 pool hall, the best place to watch your Utah Mammoth games, your Utah Jazz games, if you don't have tickets to the Delta Center, of course. And the upcoming playoff games this weekend, AFC and NFC championship games. They will have watch parties going on for those with food and drink specials, wallet-friendly, sports fan-friendly, Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. Gordy Chiesa is going to join us in the noon hour now because we had a slight scheduling change. Morgan Scally, the new head coach at the University of Utah, was set to join us right off the top here, like any minute now. Flight delay means that he's going to be joining us at 11:30. So Morgan at 11:30, Gordy from noon to 1, effectively, noon to 12:45 or so. Our guy Eric Weddle at 1 o'clock. Fun show, big show. We'll talk some fights at 1:30. Zach Partridge from Fierce Fighting Championship, I think, is going to come in studio with us. If not, we'll just call him. Getting you ready for a fun weekend again in the world of Utah sports. And I don't know how many of you watched the Utah Mammoth game last night. If you missed it, you missed out. Finishing off the homestand against a Philadelphia Flyers team that in the East, in the Metro Division, is positioned points-wise exactly where the Utah Mammoth are positioned. Now, they're in a different place from the playoff standings because things are different over there in the East. But 54 points coming into the game. And, again, this was Adrian Denny between the pipes yesterday. He said, this is a bit of a trap game because you've been playing so well and things have been looking so good. And, you know, Philly is one of those teams that can cause you problems if you start to think ahead to this brutal road trip that you've got coming up, or you start to rest on the laurels of whatever's been happening as of late. Well, the Utah Mammoth last night started the game as poorly as you possibly can. Early in the first period, give up 2 goals. Early in the second period, give up another goal. So they're trailing 3-0. And then they start to claw it back. And I actually spoke with Adrian Denny at the game for a grand total of like 5 seconds after the first Utah goal to start clawing back. And he said that's exactly what they needed. 4 or 5 great shifts in a row, and then something's going to break. And I was like, all right. Okay. I grabbed my Santorini. Shout out to Santorini in the Delta Center. The concessions are excellent these days at the Delta Center, and Santorini is my favorite, unabashedly. Little Mediterranean Greek cuisine, classic Greek salad. Would I like to be noshing on the salt and vinegar fries? Yeah. Should I be getting 2 slices of pizza when I'm at a game like this? No. So Santorini. For all of you who are trying to stay a little bit health conscious while you're taking in a game. You start to claw back. You start to put some good shifts together. And suddenly it begins to break Utah's way. Then Philadelphia gets a 4th goal. And still this Utah Mammoth team not giving up, putting together good shift after good shift, threatening, staying in the O-zone. Better on the back check. Vemelka kind of dialing himself in a little bit. You claw another goal back. Now it's 4-2. And Philadelphia, you're running out of time. Now we're in the third period. Utah's running out of time. All right? And Philadelphia pulls their goaltender, Utah pulls the goaltender to try and equalize. When you get that one more goal, Gunther shoots one in, you get one more goal, You pull the goaltender. Veggie is off the ice for the final 2 minutes of the third period, okay? You have an open goal, empty net. Garnett Hathaway picks up the puck right past the blue line, and he should have been able to flick it from there, just a little wrister. These guys can go full length of the ice and find an open net. He skates it in for whatever reason, and one of the heroes of this season, a guy that has not been talked about enough even on this show, while I mentally acknowledge how important he's been, especially at the start of the year when the Mammoth started blazing red hot. He was a huge part of that. Nick Schmaltz comes from, if we're watching the Kentucky Derby, right? It's like 4 horse lengths back. He is hustling, staying in the play. You are a fraction of a second away from Philadelphia putting this one in the bag. 5-3 with less than 2 minutes to play, you're not overcoming that. Instead, Schmaltz poke checks the puck away from this Garnett Hathaway, steals it, creates the turnover, dumps it back in, kind of to the neutral zone, and allows the Utah Mammoth to live and fight another day. I can't remember which Philadelphia defenseman mishandles the puck along the boards in front of the benches, and the Captain America, Steve Rogers, a.k.a. Clayton Keller, who had kind of a first half of the season that was below the standard of what we expect from him, and then experienced family tragedy, and that kind of extended this period of malaise. But then all of a sudden he gets added to the Team USA Olympic roster, and it seems to have energized him and the players around him. Clayton Keller snatches the puck, skates it across the mouth of the goal, equalizer, with seconds left to play. Philadelphia on their heels. Delta Center fans going banana sandwich. Loud, crazy, insanity, and still, I think, a little bit of disbelief that after starting this game so poorly, being outshot by a 2-1 margin for a period and a half, now with seconds left to play, you are tied up and you're about to head into overtime. Overtime, you kind of knew it. You kind of knew that the momentum had shifted so aggressively. The arena's loud. The fans have stayed. Philadelphia is looking at each other wide-eyed like, what is happening here? Gunther, Keller, ice it out, done. Slap shot, I think, top left? Gone, go home. Overtime winner after trailing 3-0. And if you watched only the first half of the game, which you'd probably be justified as a fan and just be like, I'm done. I'm turning this off. 5-4 overtime victory for the Utah Mammoth to finish out the homestand with the win, to snatch nearly every point possible in this homestand, to establish yourself as you won 6 out of 7 at home, and you are now back in the conversation for hottest team in the NHL.
Why is it that those two numbers always seem to be coming up lately, OC? 6 and 7. I know the joke with the junior high and younger kids, the junior high joke that's going on around now, but it's wild. Maybe it's because we're hearing it all the time where our brains are just like, because like even PBR giving away tickets to, that's on what dates, OC? February 6th and 7th. Yeah. It's just wild that anyway. 6 out of 7 for the Mammoth.
Well,
those
6 out of 7
again.
for them. This one on a 5-4 score. Credit to Daniil Boot, who opened the scoring account in this game. Not because he scored the goal. J.J. Peterka got the Mammoth's first goal, but it was Daniil Boot fighting it out, going back around behind the goal and creating it looked like juniors hockey, and it looked like Gremlins hockey because he tries to wrap around goal. That thing gets blocked, but then the puck, there's 3 Mammoth and 4 Flyers all like right there in the crease, and everyone's just hacking. It's like little kids on a soccer ball. It's the tiniest little hockey dudes you've ever seen, but at the NHL level. And they're just trying to jam this one home. Puck squirts out a little bit. JJ Peterka's kind of like, a half step behind where everyone else is, and he immediately puts it in. That's an effort play from Daniil Boot. It's an unassisted goal officially, but that Daniil Boot is the one that created the scenario where Philly's goalkeeper, he can't trap it, he can't stop play, and there's like 7 bodies just trying to figure out where that thing's going to come out. They're all jamming each other up. They're all kicking at it. JJ Peterka with the vision, with the patience, gets that one in. 36 seconds later, Lawson Krause adds another goal, and suddenly after more than a full period of just malaise and thinking this Utah Mammoth team is going to finish out this homestand on kind of a dud, like Adrian Denny told us was possible. But they clawed it back. Unfailing fight, unfailing belief, even down 3-0 that this thing was going to happen. They know what they're capable of when they have these guys on the ice. And need I remind you, I beat this thing to death. I will do it. They are doing this 6 out of 7 at home, piling up all these points without Logan Cooley right now, without one of their best players, one of their best scoring threats, one of the better young players in the NHL, and a guy who's very important to team chemistry and everything else. This is a testament. This home stretch is a testament to what the team is capable of. And that end of game sequence where you had Schmaltz, who Nick Schmaltz is a really excellent player for this team. Contract deals coming up. I hope they extend him and keep him around. Schmaltz is one of those guys that he's not at the top of your list, right? You're not going into the team store and saying, I'm going to grab me a Schmaltz sweater. Everyone's trying to get themselves on the Clayton Keller train, the Dylan Gunther train, the Logan Cooley train. JJ Peterka seems like he's a popular sweater right now. So you're talking about a guy who's like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th most highest profile guy on your team, but he has been massive to the best stretches of hockey that you have played. I mean, if you had to take a VIP from the early portion of the season where the Utah Mammoth looked like they were the best team in hockey, remember that? Do you remember the first month of hockey?
He who shall not be named shouted him out in a press conference, and that was the jinx for a little bit, right? We thought, oh, geez, now we jinxed it, and then they're back to that kind of play. By the way, have you looked at the standings, OC? Utah, 4th in their division, because we talked about with Adrian Denny, the division's it's the best division, and the Central Division's the best division in hockey right now by a lot. 3 of the best 4 teams in hockey are in the Central Division with the Utah Mammoth. They are the NHL equivalent of the NFC West in NFL football. But they are the number 1 wild card team right now. So we're still the new hockey market, OC. Just to educate people who are trying to get into it still. I've had to educate myself on the playoff format here. It's the top 3 teams from each division, 2 divisions in each conference. Top 3 teams in each division get in each conference, so that's 6 of it. It's 8 teams total, just like the NBA. 6 of the 8 teams from the division, and then the next 2 highest point total teams in the standings are your last 2 teams. Those are your 2 wild cards from each conference. So Utah is the top wild card team
in the West.
Even though they're 4th in their division, they're 3 points ahead of the next one, Seattle and San Jose, which if you remember last year, OC, we were thinking like Utah was in the Seattle and San Jose position. We're thinking they're only 3 points out, like right there. And they were from that perspective, but it's hard to gain even that small amount of points with only a few months left in the season like we are now. Utah's now in that power position where it's like people need to catch us, which obviously a great position.
So Anaheim right now, they've won 5 in a row. Utah's won 5 in a row, getting hot when you need to get hot. And to get back to the point I was making, Nick, if you go back to October when the Utah Mammoth were bursting onto the scene of the 2025-2026 season, Nick Schmaltz was as important as anyone else, maybe the most important player in that run. In this homestand, he's been great. Last night, he showed it's perfect team chemistry. And you're not going to get it every single night, but what I mean when I say perfect team chemistry is guys like Clayton Keller, your captain, he's the one that you want scoring 2 goals in 2 minutes in order to win you an overtime game. But that does not happen. That is not possible if Schmaltz doesn't make the hustle play and recover a puck that is, I mean, a blink away from being an empty net goal for the Philadelphia Flyers. If he does not skate his hardest, reach his farthest, recognize that, oh my gosh, why is he being so lackadaisical? Why is Garnett Hathaway of the Philadelphia Flyers not showing urgency here? He thinks that because he's got an open net in front of him, because Vejmelka has already skated off, and there's just ice and disappointed fans behind the glass for him in like his field of vision, he's taking his sweet time. If Schmaltz doesn't recognize that and poke check that puck away and create the turnover and send it back into the neutral zone where his guys can fight it out and then the captain can be the captain, it's like a scene from the Avengers where a bit character holds down some villain for just long enough that Captain America can come in, just long enough that Iron Man can make something happen. It's like, when Thanos, they're about to get the Infinity Stones away from him.
Get the glove off of him.
Star-Lord screws it up for everyone because he's mad and jealous. Stop that. I don't like that. I hate that in the movie. But, it's like Drax, who's effectively a bit character there. He's got to play that role of distraction. He's got to make that, role player kind of moment happen, and that's what Schmaltz did last night. And he's done that over and over and over again this year. I mean, in hockey, the dynamics, because even your megastars don't really get to play much more than your rank and file guys. They don't skate all that much more often unless they're like Sergachev and they're on the penalty kill and they're on the power play. Then you might get an extra couple minutes a night. Like, the weight of impact and the star power is determined by a lot of these things that we measure: assists, goals, points, plus minus, things like that. And Schmaltz is never going to be the guy who's at the top of those lists over the course of an entire season. But look at the stretch the Mammoth had in October. Look at the stretch that they're having right now, and tell me that there's even a Clayton Keller, even a Dylan Gunther, even a Mikhail Sergachev is more valuable to this team than Schmaltzy has been. That play is just a perfect little snapshot of it. And he's far from being a perfect player, but he is amazing when they need him.
To your point about how important he is to the team, you remember Ryan Smith, the owner of the team, obviously going on ESPN, their first ESPN game of the year, and saying during that hot stretch to start the season, saying, "Yeah, we need to get him re-signed." So at the highest levels of the organization, they know how important Nick Schmaltz is, and he keeps showing it on the ice for sure.
Now things get less than easy as you go on this road trip where, again, we talked about this yesterday with Adrian Denny, Between the Pipes. You can go find that at ESPN700sports.com. You can find it in the on-demand section of the ESPN 700 app. So you've got the Predators next, and the Preds, when we're talking about that wild card picture and we're talking about the standings in the NHL, teams like this, teams like Philadelphia, who are your equal, we have these conversations with Gordy Chiesa all the time. You got to beat the teams that are in your category. If you lose to the Colorado Avalanche right now while you're on the rise and they look like they're the best team in hockey, if you lose to Colorado, you're not okay with it, but it's more understandable. When you're talking about teams that are in your neighborhood from a talent rebuild standpoint, you got to beat those teams.
Well, and certainly in the standings, Utah's got a pretty good lead on them, but they're one of the teams that thinks they still have a chance at the playoff at one of those wild card berths.
Nashville is holding 50 points right now. And we saw what happened last year with St. Louis. Remember when we got to about late February, and it was just like, all right, the Mammoth are, 3 points out, and the Flames are 2 points out, and the Blues are 6 points out, but they're right behind. And then they went on like an 8-win streak or an 8-game win streak and just snagged the playoff spot ahead of everyone. You got to keep Nashville down. And you got to send the message to yourself, send the message to everyone in the NHL that, like, all right, when it comes to pacing as we get better as a team, and again, all without Logan Cooley right now, as we show our growth in developing towards being a playoff contender here, maybe we are not the Colorado Avalanche in 2025, 2026. Maybe we're not true Stanley Cup contenders right now. But if you're going to go on the road after this incredible homestand, if you're going to go on the road, and look, Florida is going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals probably again this year. They're going to get hot at the right time. They haven't looked their best as of yet, but that's kind of a Florida MO these last couple of seasons.
They're surprisingly low in the standings. They're about as far away from Utah as Nashville. Like, it's like Nashville to Utah, to the Mammoth right now. So they've got a lot of work to do, but they did just get Tkachuk back. They're poised to make a run, like you said.
They got Tkachuk back, and that's a veteran team that knows you've got to turn it on at some point. Now, their goal differential is disastrous at this moment. I expect that to get better. But the point is, you're going against Tampa, who's top of the Atlantic Division in the Eastern Conference right now, one of the best in the East. You've got then an immediate turnaround against Florida. It's a tough swing. The Carolina Hurricanes are going to be enough to cause you some problems. They're the top of their Metro Division right now in the East. So you've got two teams that are at the top of the East, and you've got a team in the East that is back-to-back Stanley Cup champions that just got their best player or one of their best players back after a long injury recovery.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter like that they're not in the playoff picture right now. That's going to be a team that's hard to beat no matter what.
And then you've got Nashville, who is at least serviceable. That we talked about this stretch. You cannot say, Nashville, that one got away from us. No, like, let the other ones get away, because the implications aren't right on your front door when it comes to the playoff standings. You got to find a way to carry this momentum from a homestand into a road trip. Oh, and by the way, there's apparently this insane weather event coming to the South and the East Coast to where you might get snowed in Nashville. There's going to be some distractions. There's going to be some difficulties, but this Utah Mammoth team is in absolute top form right now. Even after showing last night a shaky start, recovering 5 goals in a period and a half, and a little bit of overtime, and you win 5-4 against Philly. One of the better games we've seen them play, one of the better turnarounds we've seen them put together in game at least. And that final sequence, if you did not see Clayton Keller's final 2 goals, go find the highlights, watch them. They're readily available. An incredible, stellar, stunning, exciting finish for the Utah Mammoth in a game that was far from being must win, but it's something that you absolutely wanted to finish this incredible homestand on a high note. And they pulled it out. Well done.
It's important to. It's not as important as like some obvious wins, like against the top teams, right, or the team right ahead of you in the standings, whatever. But it's important to win these potential trap games, right? We always get nervous about, hey, that looks like it could be a trap game. You had a big emotional, potentially could be a big emotional win against the opponent you faced before. This could be a letdown. Last one the homestand. You might be overlooking them because they're not as good as your previous opponent. Those are always important to be like when you come back out of them and go, oh yeah, we got that win. They didn't trap us. So yeah, from that standpoint, an important win.
Well done, Coach Bear. Well done to everyone in that Mammoth locker room. Incredible stuff. 4 in a row for your Utah Mammoth, who are now, should I say now or should I say 4 now? I'll say 4 now, just to keep it neutral, who are 4 now in the wild card picture for the playoffs. And remember, that is exactly on pace with where we thought they should be at this moment in the franchise's existence. All right, we're going to take a break here. Morgan Scally is going to join us in our next segment. We're going to try and get him right at 11:30. Remember, his flight was delayed, so we will accommodate whatever the travel situation is for Morgan Scally. But the new Utah head football coach is joining us today. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. I've been looking forward to this conversation for weeks. Welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show. Welcome in head coach for the University of Utah football team, Morgan Scalley. Not coordinator's corner anymore, people. It is the head coach. Morgan, welcome to the show. How are you?
What's up, dude? I'm the same boring guy, man. It's just a different title.
Look, you're anything but boring. All right. Have you watched back your introductory press conference? Did your agent make you do that? Did your wife make you do that? Did anyone say, Morgan, sit down and watch how you took over this room?
Brother, when have you ever looked back at something that it's that one of those deals like I hate the sound of my own voice? It's like I don't. No, I've not.
Well, I hope at some point consider it like tape study, consider it film, because it was a master class, man. It was wonderful to be there. It was great to see, and it was kind of. I mean, I guess a little bit anticlimactic for you because you're already 1-0 as a head coach, but has it sunk in yet? Now that we're several weeks removed from the official handover happening, when you wake up in the morning and you come to the office and you see head coach Morgan Scalley on the door or wherever it's at, has it really sunk in? Do you think of yourself as the head coach of Utah football yet?
I'm trying to get there. I keep walking by my office thinking it's Kyle's. I'm gonna see Kyle there, and I'm like, wait, hold on, that's my office. There's times where I walk into Derek Odom's office. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, it's just habit after so many years being here. But no, I can't believe we haven't even done. And I feel like I've done 50 million interviews. So the fact that we haven't done it on our flagship station, brother, I'm sorry.
Well, that's not your fault. We'll air our grievances with the people responsible for these types of things. But look, it's great to get an opportunity to do this, and the staff, putting together your own staff. I mean, I imagine, because you knew this was coming at some point, so I imagine you had ideas of who was going to get that phone call from you, who first, second, third options were going to be. I know that the landscape shifted so much in this cycle that maybe some of those phone calls that you planned on making you weren't able to make. But how was it putting your staff together? How many phone calls did it take? How many guys did you have to talk to?
Well, I mean, it was a fairly crazy process in the sense that it's like, okay, are we going to keep the guys on offense? Are they going to end up going to Michigan? And so this is something that I've done a study of throughout my career, not just as thinking I was going to be the head coach at some point. It's like, okay, who are guys that when you study ball or that you go against, you have a ton of respect for. And so I have just always kept not necessarily a Rolodex, but just a spreadsheet of guys that I'm like, man, these are good coordinators. These are, good position coaches, guys that I could see myself working with. And, one of the names that always popped up, not only from a schematic standpoint, but, a guy that's coached different positions on the offensive side of the ball. And then, when I got the head coach in waiting title, it seemed like every year that people thought I was going to be able to take over, the name Kevin McGiven would always be sent to me, texted to me. And I didn't, I hadn't spent a ton of time with Kevin. I just had watched his stuff, watched his film, watched his progression, and knew that that's a guy that I would love to work with. Just not only from a schematic standpoint, but just the way he looks at football. And if you sit and in an interview, as a defensive mind, there's certain questions I like to ask. There's certain questions I like to throw at offensive coordinators, and he is just so intelligent, and the way he talks about scheme and utilizing personnel, how to conflict the defense at different levels. It just was so refreshing to listen to him and to interview him, let alone to look at what he'd done at the different places he'd been. So, and then with all the different position coaches, same thing. It's like, okay, who have I looked at throughout the years? I say, yes, I'd love to work with this guy. He would fit what we do here, fits our culture. And it was just a matter of making those phone calls along the way. So the preparation had been there. It's just a matter of reaching out and filling those roles as needed.
Okay, so you put a staff together, and concurrent with putting your staff together, you have to try to re-recruit your own roster and also figure out who is appealing to you in the transfer portal and try to get some of those guys to come. And that was an insane process. Some people we thought were going to stay ended up leaving. Some people we didn't think would be in the transfer portal and available for you to bring in suddenly are there. The player personnel standpoint, while you're also taking over the job for the first time and filling out your staff and being able to tell these kids, hey, this is who you will be playing for. I mean, how hectic is that process? And I promise there's a reason I'm asking you this question.
No, I understand. Yeah, it was. I think with the evolution of college football and what you're seeing with the transfer portal, it's difficult in the sense that when you're recruiting your guys and they come to the University of Utah and you have those ties with their family, with their parents, and you have these relationships that were built up over time, and those guys decide to go elsewhere, it can be very difficult because it's an emotional deal at that point, right? You have those ties, you have those relationships. But what we've had to learn is that, hey, listen, we still love the people that leave our program, but we have to focus and spend all of our time and attention, our energy and our love on those that want to be a part of this program, or those that we're bringing into our program. So, I think our coaches did an unbelievable job of identifying the holes we needed to fill as guys were transferring and we were bringing guys in, as well as I think it was very important for our players, and it worked out great, at least for me, that our players were able to see at least a glimpse of who I would be as a head coach at the bowl site, at the bowl game. And because the offensive players, as much as they've known me as a defensive coordinator and walking the halls, and I have great relationships with them, they haven't necessarily known the full Morgan Scalley, and so they got to see a glimpse of that as a head coach at the bowl game, and was a huge coup for us to be able to hold on to our two quarterbacks, and as well as them understanding that we wanted to make sure that the offense we brought in fit their skill sets. And if you look at what Kevin's done anywhere he's been, that's what he's been able to do, is adapt and innovate. And so they were really excited about Coach McGiven and his system and the coaching staff that we were bringing in. So in college football nowadays, it's not just recruiting the high school kids going out of the portal. You're every day recruiting your own guys. They have to experience something special while in your program. The culture's got to be such that the experience is so awesome that they don't necessarily want to leave, even if they're offered a higher price tag, right? And so it's creating that experience for the guys already in your program, that they know they're loved, they know they're valued, and they know that we're going to go win championships.
Your assistants and your players might be better people to ask this question, but I'm always curious about self-perception also. What are the differences between Morgan Scalley, defensive coordinator, and Morgan Scalley, head coach?
I guess a lot of that is I don't know yet.
Sure.
The biggest thing for me as a defensive coordinator is the biggest thing for me as a head coach, and that's establishing culture, making sure that everyone understands the behaviors that win championships, defining those for the people, providing clarity, holding guys accountable to it, and giving the support. But so I guess, from a head coach standpoint, it's making sure that every single person in the program, from staff, support staff to players, understand where we're headed and the behaviors that we're asking for, making sure they know they're valued, that they're a part of this journey, that it's not just a dictatorship. And so it's really been me getting to know all the people in our program and making sure they get to know me. There's that trust factor that needs to be built over time. But I think it's just a larger scale of creating and sustaining culture.
Utah head football coach Morgan Scalley, my guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show. How did you keep Devin Dampier and Bird Ficklin on this Utah football roster? Because I know both guys and their agents were getting a lot of phone calls.
Right. I would say number one is they love Utah. They love being here. They love the fan base. Number two is they were excited about what we were bringing in, schematically, that it was going to be something very similar to what they had just gone through. They love their teammates. They love the guys that are coming back with them. And, in college football, to have what we have at the University of Utah with a fan base that sells out every home game, that has a passion, that shows their love for our players, and I don't know that they felt the need to go anywhere else. They've got what they need here and the opportunity to win a championship, and they're a combination of things for sure. And I'm excited that to have that leadership in the quarterback room, because both those guys walk the talk, and it's fun to see when your best players are also some of your best leaders.
I've been incredibly impressed with both of those guys. I know a big part of success for you next year offensively is also going to be replacing an offensive line that's sending – I think all five of those starters from last year are going to have an opportunity to play professional football. A couple of them are obviously projected to be first-round picks. And in making sure that position stays consistent, you also had to bring in a coach. And Jordan Gross has not been in this role at this level before this. Now – I have talked to enough people that know Jordan Gross a lot better than I do that say that lack of experience is not going to be a big deal here. But what made you so confident that he was the right guy, because he doesn't check the experience box, at least from a coaching at Division I football level box? What made you so confident that he was the right man for this role?
The guy is the smartest dude in the room, and when we came in at 1998 together, he was this tall, skinny, gangly offensive lineman, and I lifted more weight than he did. I'm like, "You're an offensive lineman, dude? What on earth?" I went on my mission. I came back, and the guy was hang cleaning 405 like it was nothing. I'm like, "What happened to you?" He just has a work ethic and a competitive mindset that you don't find many places. Why he's on the Ring of Honor with the Carolina Panthers, and why he played so many years in the NFL. He gets it. He understands offensive line play, but he also understands relationships, and he can coach. I'm not the only one that was trying to get Jordan Gross to coach. He had opportunities to coach in the NFL. So there's a lot of other people that understand his aptitude and his ability to coach and teach. And I tried to talk him into it a few years ago, and he just said with his kids and what he was doing with his family life, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. And was I the luckiest dude ever that the timing worked out, that it was right for him. The timing was right for him to come coach our guys up, and watch. This guy is a superstar. And I'm so fired up for the guys, for the our O block, the offensive line here. I think they're already seeing the benefit of having, an NFL All-Pro as their coach.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what that product looks like under your leadership, and obviously under the leadership of one of the all-time greats to play offensive line at the school. I mean, there's this. It could be used as a criticism, and I tried to bring up both sides of the argument. Like, the coolest thing at that press conference, you're like, I'm a Ute, always have been, always will be. It gives me chills even repeating it, because it's such a rarity in college football now that the whole journey can be at this one place, and we hope it's the whole journey that's at this one place. I guess that'll depend on if you don't have NFL aspirations maybe, but neither here nor there. Look, the insular nature of your experience at Utah, on only Utah, could be perceived as a potential negative when you're taking over a head coaching job and you're trying to fill out a staff, and you might not have the same network as everyone else. I've heard you address this before, but you haven't done it on my show. Did you feel handicapped in any way by the fact that you've only ever been in Salt Lake City and only ever been at the University of Utah when it came to filling out your staff?
I've never felt handicapped. I think you handicap yourself if you don't reach out and you don't. I mean, the amount of relationships I've built over the years with people from across the country, the connections I have down in Texas from recruiting, you handicap yourself, and people can say whatever they want to say. I remember being a graduate assistant and going to the National Coaches Convention. Which, have you ever been there, OC?
I've never been there for the coaches convention. I was in Orlando the same time it was happening. That's the one in Orlando, right?
It changes locations from year to year. It's been in Nashville, Orlando, San Antonio, you name it. So it goes all over the country, but I'm talking thousands and thousands of coaches show up to this thing, right? And you can go put your resume up on a board that no one looks at. And it's like 1,000 resumes. it's just guys looking to get into the profession, looking to do whatever. I'll never forget, I went to Urban, and Urban was coaching at Florida at the time, and he was big time. And I'll never forget just asking him, and I've talked to him about this, so we kind of laugh about it, but I just remember asking him, advice on what I should do, and I'll never forget. He says, "Well, you know what? I think so. I did this as a graduate assistant, but then I also did it as a position coach. So I think I was a position coach. We won the Sugar Bowl, and I was a position coach at the time. Now that I remember it, and I go up to him and I'm talking to him about what I should do in my career path, and he said, Morgan, I really think you need to get out from underneath Coach Witt, and you should go elsewhere, because at the end of the day, no one knows who Morgan Scalley is." And I never forgot that. And I was like, so why do I have to go someplace else for people to know who I am? And I just said, no, forget that. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to learn and grow. And I did. I was sitting right next to Nick Saban as he asked me how we defended Mike Leach when Mike took over the head coaching job at Mississippi State, right? I sat with Kirby Smart, sat with Dan Lanning when Dan was at Georgia. Brent Venables came here. I've done so much of just developing and learning and doing everything I could to find out, what's the best way to play defense or the best schemes, the best lifting programs. I would go to the convention and look at all the different gadgets that people come up with. I've always been someone that wanted to innovate, that wanted to create, and I never thought that you had to go other places to learn about different cultures, different backgrounds, and I've been able to do it at Utah. And you get to a place where, okay, if you just put your head down and grind and work and you extend yourself to people and you go out and meet people, and who would have thought that an LDS kid, from Salt Lake City, Utah, would ever become one of the top recruiters in Houston, Texas? It's because it's all about relationships. It doesn't matter name or what logo you have. People like people. So I got out there and I extended myself and I learned and I asked questions and I finally got to the point where I was like, I don't need to go anywhere. And I've looked around, and when I said we can win a national championship here, I truly believe that. You look at the people we have here, the fan base that we have here, the high school coaches here in Utah have done an unbelievable job of developing talent. You look at all the teams coming to Utah to recruit. Look all over Twitter and look at the amount of teams that are coming to Salt Lake City, Utah to recruit our guys. If we can keep all of our guys here in state, you can't tell me we can't do it. You can't tell me.
Well, I'm not gonna tell you that, especially after we all just watched Indiana win a national championship. Do you find inspiration in that, the fact that there's now like a new kid on the block that was able to achieve at the very, very highest level, when 5 years ago, if you would have brought this up as a possibility, you'd have been laughed out of any room. But Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers just pulled it off.
100%. 100%. So that's why I've never felt that I needed to leave. And it's like we've got what we need here. And now it's just a matter of everyone buying into it.
How complete is your roster right now? How many scholarships are left to give out? The transfer portal, you can't enter your name into it anymore unless you were in that national championship game. You can't enter your name into it anymore, but there's 3,000 kids in there that are all, I imagine you're still interested in some. How close is this team to being a complete roster?
We're within 1 to 2.
Oh,
so
nice.
We've actually done a pretty good job of filling holes, and we're excited with the group we have. It's so much of it is getting the guys here, and particularly with a new offensive staff, just like last year with Jason, is you want to hit the ground running. You want these guys in the weight room developing. You want to get out there and start teaching these guys and our coaches, in the film room. So the development during the off season is such a huge deal, taking advantage of the hours that we have, and then getting them ready for spring ball. So that was a priority. Obviously, you don't want to just fill holes to fill holes. You want to fill them with the right guys, but we've been fortunate enough to be able to do that. And we still got maybe 1 to 2 left to fill, but we're in a good situation, a good spot. And, it's after January right now, everyone's on the road recruiting or in-state recruiting. And then once we come back in February, that's the signing date in February, then it's all about, us with our players and making sure that culture is what we want. And the journey begins, man.
Utah head football coach Morgan Scalley for another minute or two here on the Sean O'Connell Show. I wish I had like another 45 minutes because I could keep this thing going, but I'll respect your time, and I appreciate what you've given us already. Colton Swan, I love Colton Swan. After I left Utah and transferred to Weber State, he was on the staff there, and I was impressed with him from then all the way through what he is now. How'd you know he was the right guy to make the defensive coordinator, to replace the honorable, venerable, very accomplished Morgan Scalley himself?
Oh, boo. No, Swan is so bright, so organized, a great teacher. He's a guy that's coordinated before. He's done it before. He's provided me so much insight when I was a coordinator, helped me along the way. He's tough as nails. He's our culture to a T, and people are going to really get to know Colton Swan. That's what I'm excited about, is for people to get to know the Cowboy. This is a guy that he still competes in rodeo.
I know
I don't know if you, yeah, and every single year, we've had these opportunities to have each coach stand up and present something to the players. Well, every year he presents a new event in the rodeo and explains how it's judged, and our guys are just enthralled. I wish everyone could see him present a rodeo event. This guy is tough as nails, and he's as good as they come. So I have no doubt whatsoever. Plus, that staff is so good for him that he's going to flourish and succeed. And I'm just excited to be now kind of a fly on the wall whenever he'll let me in the room.
How good are you at delegating? How much of a micromanager are you? Because there's always we don't really know as fans, media members, right? Like how much that coach is not letting his offensive coordinator do what he wants to do, or that guy's defensive minded, so he's got his fingers all over this defense, and he won't let Colton Swan spread his wings and fly. Like how difficult or natural is it going to be for you to be the CEO and to be the guy that says, hey, there's a reason you're my offensive coordinator and play caller. There's a reason why you're calling my defensive plays right now. I am going to let you do your job. Or, this is your program for the first time. Do you want to make sure you keep your thumbprint on it?
Well, I just want to provide help. That's what Kyle did for me when I was a young coordinator, and I wanted him in the room. I wanted his thoughts. I wanted him to be able to say, hey, you may want to think about this, just because he had all that experience. And but no, it's very important for me to me for our coordinators to know how much confidence I have in them. Otherwise, I wouldn't have hired them to do the job. Being a head coach is much more about being a CEO, and my responsibilities and my calendar is going to be a lot different than what it has been in the past, and I'm fully aware of that. I unless you're in the seat, you really don't know all that it entails, and I'm learning as I go. But I have been prepared for a lot of it, and so it's. I'm there as a sounding board. I want them to understand, hey, listen, we've talked about during the hiring process what we're looking for, what we want, complementary football, and it's up to you guys to get together and make sure that happens. And I'm a sounding board in the process. I'm excited to sit in an offensive room and just sit back and listen to them and be like, no, that's not going to work. This is what we would do I want to be on the offensive side of the ball and give some creative thoughts as to how to beat a defense, and that's what I'm excited about. I've always wanted a year sabbatical where I could just go and sit in offensive rooms and listen to them talk about what's going to work, what's not going to work, and just see what they're looking at.
In a perfect world, what is the identity of a Utah football offense with Morgan Scalley as the head coach?
I think it's what I said in the press conference. It is physical. You can never get away from physicality in this game. It will be exposed at the highest level, for good or for bad. And you look at how physical Indiana was, right? And their identity, and that is just will always be a part of the game. So physicality and innovation, the ability to do what you do it at a efficient rate, but also create, adapt, be ahead of the game in terms of how we can use personnel and how we can gain a distinct advantage based on the guys that we got in the room.
How will you treat the Holy War, the BYU rivalry game?
What do you mean?
Sometimes there's a countdown clock in the weight room. You got 255 days before you have to fight the team down south, whatever. Some coaches lie to us and say, it's just any other game. How will you – I mean, you cared about it since you were in diapers. You played in it. You coached in it.
Yeah, so, and you've got Morgan Scalley sound bites to remind me.
Well, yeah, right? but Morgan Scalley, the head coach – I mean, it's the most important day on the Utah sports calendar every year, and you are now one of the two most important figures in that rivalry game of that most important day. So how will you approach it?
The way I've approached it for the last while is that you have to treat every game like it's your Super Bowl. Otherwise, you'll never get there. If you treat BYU differently than you treat Texas Tech or Kansas State, you're doing it wrong. And that's allowing emotions to get in your way of doing what we want to do. It's all about behavior. So yes, I want to beat BYU. And I talked to Kalani. Kalani's one of my best friends. We went through the fire together at some point during our careers, and we'll be going to dinner together and all that stuff. That's my friend. But I told him, dude, I love you, and every time I play you, I want to beat you by 50. That's just how it is. That's just we are competitive souls, and but I have no hatred towards Brigham Young University. No, there are guys, Justin Enna, Aaron Roderick, Chad Kaha'a, Gary Anderson, guys down there that I love, that I have relationships with. But again, it doesn't mean that I don't want to ruin them when we play them. That's just how it is. That's the competitive nature of this game, and I'm a competitive dude.
Is your relationship with Kyle Whittingham in a good place right now?
I would hope so. Yeah, we were together last night. Gave him a big hug, and that's my guy. Now, have Kyle and I always seen eye to eye on things? No. Have you always seen eye to eye with your boss? On every single thing that you do? If so, man, congratulations, OC. You've had a. I love that.
I will
But
not.
no,
I will not make that claim, Morgan. I am
yeah,
not. I am not the easiest guy to work with.
No, I don't think anyone that works with someone for as long as we work together is going to see eye to eye. But I've always been 100% loyal to Kyle Whittingham. That's a guy that I love. He's mentored me, given me every shot along the way to progress in this profession, and I will always love that man and wish him nothing but the best. Was with him last night at the Outland Trophy Award banquet for Spencer Fauna. What an unbelievable award for him, an honor for him. But no, I don't. I mean, shoot, I think I was maybe me and Doug Ellisai. I think were the two that were with Kyle throughout his entire time as head coach. I barring my 1 year of trying out the NFL, but I don't think you can spend that much time with someone and not love them. Otherwise, I would have left a long time ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. We got the schedule release yesterday. Did you circle the games that you care about more and just, oh my gosh, this road? I mean, I'm always asking that facetiously, but what do you think your schedule as it rolled out yesterday?
I don't care. We play who we play, and we play who we play, and you give me the time and date, we'll go. Let's go. Let's strap it up. But I'm excited to get to work with our guys right now in the off season and get things going.
Well, you'll leave it to guys like me to say, well, that's an easy schedule, so minimum 10 wins in Morgan Scalley's first year as a head football coach, right?
Hey, listen, no one puts higher expectations on me than me. So, like I said, our whole deal is create the culture, and the results should speak for themselves.
Well, I have no doubt you will do so. We're very much looking forward to it. The very last thing before I let you go, are you going to let us media schlubs come and watch practice? Please, 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 can I watch one-on-one pass rush drills? Please let me watch real practice.
I'm going to maybe let others, but because I know that you'll be sitting there, well, shouldn't they do this? You'll get too involved, though. See, I can't have that.
Yeah, well, I'm already deeply offended that I didn't get a call like, hey, I need a coach specific to the walk-ons that are not ever actually going to do anything for us on the field. Can you come take care of those guys? I would be perfectly equipped for that, Morgan.
Oh, stop it.
And yet I didn't get the phone call.
Come teach me some moves, some MMA moves, dude.
Well, look, if you ever need that for your guys, I will volunteer my time. That'd be a lot of fun. But
love it.
Thank you so much for your time today. Love you, man. Very excited for this new era of Utah football, and cannot wait to be watching every spring practice in its entirety under your new media policy as the head coach.
We'll chat about that later. Love you, brother.
All right, thanks. That's Morgan Scalley, Utah football head coach. He's 1-0 already in that bowl game, and a guy that, man, you could feel however you want to feel about the changing of the guard, but there's only one way to feel about him taking over, and that is optimistic and excited. Hour 2 begins with Gordy Chiesa right here in studio on Utah's #1 sports talk. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. We welcome in Gordy Chiesa, resident NBA guru, courtesy of our good friends at America First Credit Union and Aladdin Industries, your Utah Velux dealer. Gordy, welcome. How are you, sir?
Sean, I'm doing well. Thank you. It should be interesting next few days for the Jazz and for the NBA. But it all started the other night, Sean, when the Jazz and the T-Wolves, that was some game where the Jazz showed their heart and their courage. 127-122, outscored the T-Wolves by 17 in the fourth quarter, but it's how the Jazz play. And Keontae George, that guy is improving every single game. 43 points, 15 for 28 from the field, 6 for 13 from threes, plus 3 rebounds, and that was a masterpiece of a game. And as I shared to a colleague of mine, Sean, earlier yesterday morning, that Keontae is developing, I call it a headache driver, that he gives headaches to the guy guarding him. And that's what's good about it. And he's improved tremendously as a screen reader. So Keontae reads screens very well. And now, so he's a drives the ball to the basket. He reads screens, and that equals what? I call it a turbo scorer. He can score both over the top and get it to the line, and that's why he's developing into really a standout NBA player. Not
only does Utah beat the Minnesota Timberwolves without Lauri Markkanen in the lineup, and a huge night for Keontae George, Nurkic with a triple-double.
Oh, very much, yeah. And it's how he got them. So Sean's alluding to 16 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists. And he outplayed Rudy Gobert tremendously during that game. I call it bang, chase, and secure, getting rebounds. He bangs the guy, he chases the rebound, whether it's on the floor, up at the rim, and then he secures the ball. Before, with Morgan Scally talking about being physical, well, guess what? The Jazz were physical, led by Yusuf Nurkic. I call it, Sean, rogue physicality, the way he plays. Like he's a rogue rebounder, and he has so many great passing skills. So when he has the ball a lot of times, Sean, it's like this. He has the ball like a grapefruit, and he has the ball at the high post, middle of the floor. It's like a grapefruit, and then Keontae George and those guys are the direct benefactor. Him, I call it, he's a grapefruit passer. Where he throws that ball, last game, 10 assists, I mentioned, 2 turnovers. Tremendous win. Oh, it was great how they played. They outfought the T-Wolves, who were struggling. Now they lost 3 in a row. And now let's do it over again tonight, Delta Center.
When you have a guy like Keontae George, who's having this like crazy breakout type of year, right? And he's not a rookie having a breakout year. He's been around, he's been in the league a little bit, and now he's starting to become a star, a borderline star. Obviously, there's been belief in him in this Jazz organization. They probably saw it sooner than everyone else did. That's probably why he's on this roster. Gordy, what is the process like when you have one of these guys starting to emerge and the rest of the NBA starts to take notice? Like, you as a coach, I imagine, shoot-arounds, you're doing warm-ups, the other staff walks over, just like, hey, how come you didn't tell us about this Keontae guy? I mean, what's it like as the rest of the league wakes up to Keontae's talent, abilities, and the danger he presents to them?
Well, the coaching staff and his teammates see it every single day in practice and in preparation. So usually speaking, when players keep working and developing, the game slows down for them. So usually speaking, again, most young players play offense too fast and defense too slow. Now, Keontae now has done both now, where he's playing offense at a certain pace and a defense much faster. And that's why he's having a breakout season. And it's been so much fun, if you're a Jazz aficionado, to see him develop his skill set. And he's gonna be very, very important for the Jazz as they go forward of what he brings to the group every single day. I have him shown right now of being the 3rd in the voting for most improved player. The most improved player that I have right now as we speak past the halfway mark would be Jalen Johnson of the Hawks, Denny Avdia of the Portland Trailblazers, and Keontae George at number 3 for the Jazz. And the number 4 should be former Jazzman, ironically, Nickeil Alexander-Walker from the Hawks also. And 5 should be Jalen Duren of the Pistons. So, Sean, he's right there as far as being the most improved player, and what a great honor for that.
All right, let's talk about what's coming tonight for the Utah Jazz. Delta Center, and it's the San Antonio Spurs. You and I, we talk every time about Victor Wembanyama. If you have yet to see Victor Wembanyama in person or have yet to see this version of the San Antonio Spurs, you have opportunities to get out there tonight. Tickets are available. But, for this Utah Jazz team, they've already checked the box of being better than we thought they were going to be. They're maybe not ahead of schedule the way that this San Antonio Spurs team is ahead of schedule, but they are ahead of schedule. What are your expectations for tonight against this Spurs roster?
Well, the first thing ahead of schedule, meaning this, is that, hey, by the way, if the Jazz win tonight, it'll be the 11th home victory, which is one more than all of last year.
Wow.
So that's good. It's positive. And the last time the Spurs made the playoffs was 2019. So it's going to be 7 years. So 19, now it's 26. So, Sean, here's a question to you. Back in 2019, what were you doing? 2019,
I was doing Sirius XM radio. I had just retired from fighting.
Okay, so this guy I'm looking at right now, this muscular guy, Sean O'Connell, as we speak right now, and that was the last time the Spurs made the playoffs. So it's going to be 7 years. Right now, I'm pretty sure they're going to make it. As we speak, they are 30-14, the second best record in the East. They're trying to fight off the Denver Nuggets and the Rockets, and they're trying to climb ahead of the Thunder. And it's led by Victor Wembanyama, their once-in-a-generational talent, as that he's always been a tremendous standout. Here's some quick numbers. 24.4 points per game, 10.3 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, 50.6 field goal percentage, 38 from threes, and 84 from the foul line, which is really good. Victor's missed 14 games, but what the Spurs have done is that they have a good supporting cast. Without Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs are 10-4. So he's missed 14 games because of different injuries. They're 10-4. The Spurs are third overall in the NBA in defensive rating. The only two teams ahead of them are the first place Thunder and the first place Detroit Pistons. So it seems to me that if you play defense as a collective group and a very high defensive rating, the chances of getting to the postseason are very, very strong, whether it's the NFL or whether it's the NBA. And that is the Spurs right now.
How did the Jazz match up with this team? We saw not so long ago this Utah team was able to beat the San Antonio Spurs. Now you're trying to do it on your home floor. So with what you just said about, the not only individual efforts of Victor Wembanyama, but the way that this Spurs squad plays as a team and what the Utah Jazz are trying to do, which is thread this needle between improvement and keeping your draft pick and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this San Antonio team is an easy place where you can kind of lay down, second team in the West, all right, but this is a home game. And you got a lot of people who are going to show up because they want to see not only your guys, but the visiting team. So how do you match up tonight if you're the Utah Jazz?
One, being physical. That's the first thing. So the question right now is, can Yusuf Nurkic, who's coming off a great game as far as we mentioned a few seconds ago about his triple-double, can he has enough moxie and also technique to guard Victor Wembanyama out on perimeter? So now Yusuf Nurkic has to change his mindset and not be a force in the lane. It's going to be out more in perimeter. And can the Utah Jazz, as a group right now, give organized help as far as playing it? And on the flip side is, can De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle have enough defensive presence to guard Keontae George? And the answer is we're going to find out tonight because Keontae's got it rolling. And Ace Bailey and all the other guys, the Jazz, and Isaiah Collier. And let's not forget, one of the reasons why that Keontae George is playing really exceptional is because of his own ability, but also how he plays off the ball when they have Isaiah Collier in the game. So Isaiah Collier is vastly underrated. That guy is pass happy. And, last game against the T-Wolves, he gets a double-double as far as points and assists, and the benefactor is Keontae George. So can the Jazz backcourt outplay De'Aaron Fox and De'Aaron Fox, and also Stephen Castle and Dylan Harper. Those three guys, basically, can the Jazz outplay them, and also can on the boards. So usually speaking, when you win a game in the NBA, you win the boards, and also you in that fourth quarter you make so many timely shots. And it all starts with organized defense, and it ends with what? As far as securing the rebound and throughout the game is what? Getting your scorers to play in space. Just like in the NFL, get the ball to your star players when there's space to what? To make plays. And in basketball, it involves what? The dribble and or pass. And the Jazz, let's not forget, on Martin Luther King Day on Monday afternoon, the Jazz lost. So now it's the rematch right now, literally 3 days later here in Salt Lake City. I expect it to be a great game for the Jazz, and I have no problem the Jazz playing against these guys. I think the Jazz are going to win.
Is Dylan Harper having the kind of year that San Antonio expected, or that you expected?
Well, here's the first thing about it. The answer is that he's playing behind De'Aaron Fox and Stephen Castle. So he's coming off the bench. So usually when you're second pick of the draft, you're going to start. So Ace Bailey, as the fifth pick, he's starting. And he gets the ball a lot of times in rhythm, and the Jazz have been committed to play through some of his errors because he is part of the future. Now, the Spurs, Dylan Harper, the second pick of the draft, he's not beating out right now De'Aaron Fox, who's one of the fastest guys in the NBA, who's playing exceptionally well. And Stephen Castle, ironically, the Rookie of the Year last year, here's Stephen Castle, age 21, averaging 16.9 points per game, 7.0 assists, and 5 rebounds. So it's not a question of Dylan Harper that people be disappointed in him. He has a difficult time of playing a lot of minutes on the floor. So with that said, he's averaging 10.6 points per game, 3.6 assists in 21.5 minutes. And most of all, Sean, just like you are, he's a southpaw player, and that's when he's able to play with rhythm. When he cuts in the game, then they play De'Aaron Fox off the ball, and Dylan Harper has the ball to make plays. So they have a lot of great options, the Spurs, and that's why they're trending to be second in the East right now. So not disappointed at all. He's playing relatively well. He's in a really good team right now, and he's going to try to carve out space and force the Spurs to move rosters around. Remember, and also the Spurs, they're playing without Devin Vassell, who's a very good player. He's hurt, in that he has a strained left thigh. So a lot of times now they go ultra small, and they'll play all three guys. They use Stephen Castle almost as sometimes a point guard, two guard, and small forward, and that allows Dylan Harper. And for the fans right now, yes, Dylan Harper is related to his dad, who is Ron Harper Jr. And Ron Harper was former Chicago Bulls player that tormented the Jazz about 25 years ago by playing defense and scoring the ball.
We started the show today talking about the Utah Mammoth closing out their long homestand with another victory, hard fought. And look, all of us in sports fans, you appreciate a good comeback, right? What's better for team chemistry? What's better for the learning process when you have that complete performance all the way through? Or, they started the game last night pretty bad and found a way. They won it really with a period and a half of excellent hockey after digging themselves a little bit of a hole. And I know that's apples to oranges in some ways because basketball and hockey are not the same thing, but we see this in the NBA as well, where you have a terrible first quarter, terrible first and second quarters, whatever, and then somehow, some way you claw back into it and you find a way to win. From a coaching standpoint, which is more valuable?
Claw back to win. Yeah, momentum. Momentum is this interesting word that every coach seeks for. Momentum for the players where, remember now, oh, by the way, the other guys are good also. See, so you play against.
Yeah.
See, against good defense and really stellar offense, that they're not going to let you play totally your game. So during the course of a game, you find your footing. And that's on both sides of the ball. You mentioned before about hockey. And before I forget, hey, Sean, I love how you talked about your food choices at the Delta Center and the hockey game last night. Forget about winning or losing. I'm impressed by your food choices.
You got to make a good food choice when you're, especially if you get to attend these things with some regularity. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When you're on inside baseball here, when you're on a press pass or a media pass at the Jazz games, you get that Toyota Club little wristband. Gordy, it's real easy to go ham sandwich down there. You can get a little bit crazy. You could destroy your diet with one Jazz game.
And or if you have really discipline as a person, which I know you have, but also as the players have also, both on both sides of the ball. I've been doing this show for 53 years, and so I'm still curious how you and James Peterson, how you guys roll. 53 years doing this, and also, more importantly, just as important to say, the Jazz in particular, they're at that interesting segue where they have some good players. They have good players, and so now the question is, can you keep adding to it? Ace Bailey, let's not forget. Let's remember, he's so young, and he's coming off a good game the other night where he got 20 points. But he's how he's got them, and can he keep emerging right now? I think he can.
It's really crazy how wrong the perception of Ace Bailey was in that draft and post-draft scenario. I mean, the stinks surrounding the agent, and he doesn't want to go here. He only wants to be drafted there. It left a perception out there, which thankfully was wrong, that this is a kid with diva tendencies, and he's going to try to be bigger than an organization, and it's not going to be team first. And unless they're doing just an incredible job in the Jazz organization of squashing down any stories of bad behavior, he seems like he's a model citizen, model teammate, model rookie, whatever. I just cannot get over how wrong that initial impression, that first impression was of Ace Bailey.
And that's why all I know is what I see, not what I hear. And so he'd be a classic example of doing that. He plays with joy, and he also has a whole bunch of talent, and that he's fitting in very nicely here in Salt Lake City. And from a team standpoint, he's going to be absolutely part of the future. Him and Keontae George, those guys will be here for a long, long time. And then now the Jazz, as far as so really, which should be Larry Markkinen. What happens is a lot of times you're out of sight is out of mind. Larry Markkinen has some illness, and that hopefully he'll play tonight. And that if not, they're going to keep going forward as far as for the next game. This is the Jazz second game of a 6-game homestand, and there's no reason why that the Jazz can't win a whole bunch of these games, including tonight. This is good for the Jazz. They're going to go against a good team in the Spurs, who were once rebuilding. Now they're trying to keep going forward with the second best record in the West. And the Jazz right now, their record overall is 15-29, 10-12 at home, and 5-17 on the road. And the Jazz are the 13 in the West. They're playing the second best team in the West. But I think the Jazz can knock them out.
All right, we got Gordy Chiesa for another segment or two here on the Sean O'Connell Show, so we're going to take advantage of that. Quick break here. We'll be back with more on the NBA, including an approaching trade deadline. Big names still going to be on the move, or is it settled? Sean O'Connell Show, Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show with Gordy Chiesa here on ESPN 792 on FM. And also Prince.
In 1982, I was at a concert in Passaic, New Jersey, and that was the first time I ever saw people like in a mosh pit, as far as, them passing people around.
Yeah?
Yeah, 1982.
1982.
Yeah. That's when Prince was young, and it was a happening, to say the least. 1982. I know, Sean, you were born in 1983.
That's
so
right.
I know. I'm dating myself, and James Peterson is even younger than you. However, Prince is really timeless.
To see a young Prince,
Yeah.
be pretty cool.
Yeah, 1982, Passaic, New Jersey. Remember, he wrote the song 1999. He actually, wrote it way before then.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Tonight we're going to party like it's 1999, looking at it like it was some distant future event. Now it's almost 30 years in our rear view. Yikes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yikes. And that's as you keep moving on in the age group, it's the most amazing how you look at different things from a different prism, and that's both personal life but also in sports. So who would have thought that so and so would be traded, or that the New England Patriots, after Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, Sean, they think, hey, we can do this, we can win the whole thing.
They might be headed back to the Super Bowl.
Right.
We'll find out this weekend.
So who would have thought that?
I mean,
but the guys in the buildings did in New England and Foxborough. Yes, they did. And also the personnel people. I know I'm not objective because besides being a coach, I once was director of pro personnel for the Memphis Grizzlies. So I saw firsthand that it's so important, the personnel people. If they get it right, Sean, the majority of the time, not every time, because it's impossible. It's really truly it. You're doing your behavior. But if you get it right most of the time, your team can go from losing to winning relatively quickly.
So a bunch of these player personnel folks right now are trying to figure out, do I trade this guy away? Can I go get that dude? Do I need a role player? Do I need a star? If I need a star, do I have the assets to make it worth it? And one of the biggest names that apparently is available with the approaching deadline would be Giannis, the Greek freak. And there are not a lot of teams in the NBA who could even put together a package that would make the Milwaukee Bucks consider it right now. But there's some teams that are really good already that could potentially want to package some things and go out and get Giannis. I've heard the Spurs mentioned. I don't know if you believe that makes sense. We'll start there. Do you pair somebody like that with Victor Wembanyama? If you do so, you probably have to get rid of a bunch of picks. Do you have to give up Dylan Harper? Do you have to give up a Stephon Castle type individual? Are you willing to do that? Are the Spurs feeling this out with the Milwaukee Bucks right now, do you think?
Yes, they're trying to, like all teams would be, they're trying to explore it because Giannis really has not said publicly, but he's hinted via his agent, is that what is going on here in Milwaukee. Let's not forget that back in 2021, the Bucks were world champions. So now let's fast forward it. 5 years later, their record now is 18-25, and they seem like what? They're heading not even remotely being competitive in the East. And we know in NBA basketball that the Western Conference is much more competitive from top to bottom than the Eastern Conference is. So Giannis is he's frustrated, and he's basically saying that we need help dramatically, and if not, please try to make it work as far as trading me. And if not right now, this trading deadline, which is Thursday, February 5th, definitely during the week of the NBA draft. Giannis's contract, just quickly for the listeners right now, Giannis's contract this year is $51.4 million, 26-27, 58.4, and 27-28, 62.7 million with a player option. And I know these numbers seem so. Are you kidding me about these numbers? They're unfathomable to think. And you're right. All of us, like Sean O'Connell, Gordon Chiesa, and James Peterson, all these common folks that are on the air right now, we're common folk. These numbers are so incredible. And do you realize that someday Victor Wembanyama and Luka Doncic will be probably the first two players ever to make $100 million in a season. Season. I didn't say a lifetime. I'm saying a season.
Yeah, we've done this before, right? We've gone over the top earners in the sport and how there's guys now like Danilo Gallinari made more money in his career than Michael Jordan did, like in terms of NBA salary. And those numbers are just getting further and further inflated. And this, by the way, still in a hard cap league. That's not even bringing in the baseball conversation and how insane some of those things get. But
And then the NFL is so cruel where it's absolutely a hard cap.
yeah,
Like it's hard. There's no like gray area.
there's no aprons. There's
Yeah,
no
no-
luxury tax.
Right, exactly. And that's what makes it so interesting in the NFL where if you're champions, absolutely the depth was these guys came to your team and they overperformed their modest contract. And that's even including in the NBA where the players that when you go deep in the playoffs, your contributors outdid their contract. And that's why your team is really good. So with that said, here's some guys that could be in the trading mix. Jonathan Kuminga from the Warriors. Now, Jimmy Butler got hurt. So he's out with a torn ACL. He'll be out until minimum December 1st next year, 2026, and he's out. So Kuminga's going to be tried to possibly traded. So Michael Porter of the Nets will be in play. Zach LaVine of the Kings. Kyle Kuzma, former Utah standout from the Bucks, will be, if they do make a trade for any to improve their roster, he'll be part of that group right now. Cam Thomas of the Nets, also DeMar DeRozan of the Kings. Nick Vucevic of the Bulls, that everybody likes. His contract's up this year, so he has a lot of value that it makes him much more tradable. In Jazz basketball, it could be someone like Kyle Anderson as far as getting more assets for the Jazz. George Niang, who's been hurt, but now he's possibly could be playing as far as off injury. He'll be in play. It could be Jeremy Grant, of the Portland Trailblazers will be out there. Daniel Gafford of the Mavs, everybody likes because of them not winning, but also because his contract is truly friendly. So, and then if you don't get a guy right now, there'll be some buyout options between February 5th and March 1st. If you play in the NBA, if you want to, you can't be bought out and sign with another team after March 1st. So it goes from the trading deadline, then the buying option, and then after March 1st, then your roster is basically set.
If you're in the trade market for let's talk about Giannis. Let's talk about these top guys. Kuminga, I think, is interesting for some teams, but let's stick with the most familiar name here. You're the Milwaukee Bucks. What do you need to get back in order to send one of the top 3, top 4 players in the history of your organization who still has, what do you think, Gordy, 3 or 4, maybe 5 good years of basketball left?
Right now, he's age 31 right now.
Right. So, I mean, he could play into his mid-30s very successfully at least.
Very much, yes.
So what do you need if you're in Milwaukee to say, all right, fine, he kind of wants to go, but you're not going to sell him cheap.
No, you're not. So that's when it gets so interesting. It would be minimum 2 front light starters and minimum 2 or 3 future first-round picks in alternate years, usually speaking. And it could be a 3-way trade with another team involved to make everything work as far as the money and the players. So it's a whole bunch of things that they're going to try to do. So it's got to be high draft picks, meaning first-round draft picks, which usually should be most times for Giannis would be protected through 1 through 4 with that team, and then also with standout players that are somewhat younger. So if it was just hypothetically with someone like, say, the San Antonio Spurs, it would be so like the De'Aaron Fox type guy, or Dylan Harper, or Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan as far as making money work, Harrison Barnes to make the money work, etc. Devin Vassell. They have a lot of different assets that they possibly could. So we shall see if Giannis can do that, and it will affect the NBA as far as I call it court tilt. If a star player gets traded before the deadline is that, and he's really a top player, that it would create so much as far as court tilt for the team and possibly for the whole conference, where now things change dramatically. And that was Luka Doncic last year. Remember when they traded Luka Doncic? Just think about this: the Lakers right now without Luka Doncic, they would be hurting unbelievable. So when they made that miracle trade, what I call a miracle. Did you ever celebrate Christmas not on December 25th? Well, the Lakers celebrated Christmas in early February last year.
Yeah.
Early February. And so look at the Lakers, that they're right now they're the 5th seed at 26-16, with Luka Doncic being an absolutely once-in-a-lifetime generational talent. LeBron James is still averaging 22 points a game at age 41. And let's not forget, Austin Reeves is hurt. And Austin Reeves is having an amazing year, averaging 27.8 points per game. He hasn't played in the last month or so. And they're still highly competitive. Without Luka, there'd be a mess. And that's what shows you how it happens. And that Luka Doncic trade, Anthony Davis, what happened, goes from, again, a star player from the Lakers, goes to the Dallas Mavericks. They had a miracle with drafting Cooper Flagg as far as being the first pick of the draft, and he's a generational talent. But the Mavericks are 18-26 and probably a non-playoff team.
Gordy, this is apropos of almost nothing, but Steven Adams is going semi-viral right now because he is he's living the simple life right now. He put out some videos of his apartment setup, his living setup in Houston, and this is a guy who's made almost $200 million so far in NBA contracts, and he's doing like an MTV Cribs kind of thing, laughing at himself. He's got like a folding table with a video game system and a gaming chair. He's got a mattress on the floor. He sleeps in a sleeping bag because he says it's better to sleep on the floor for his back. And of course, everyone's just like, "Are you kidding me? This guy? I mean, he's got no furniture in this place. He's very clearly living a simple life." So, who's the guy that lived most simply, or the player that you like? Wow, like this is a guy who's saving it all for when he's retired.
When he's retired, let me see. A simple.
Well, I don't know what Steven Adams' plan is, but
well, Steven Adams though, but also right. Let's not forget in the present tense, he has a severe sprained ankle.
Yes.
So part of he's not playing until roughly March 20th. So he's home right now rehabbing, and he's not playing. So this is part of why he's on social media to the extreme, showing off his crib. And so what guy would be like that? I have to think about that because I know in jazz basketball over the years, most people were absolutely, relatively, strongly serious about doing that. But let me think of next time we speak, I will think about one or two, well, again, a word that the late, great Bill Walton was like that.
Was he?
Yeah, like a free spirit.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, like Bill Walton, as far as a free spirit and, just minimum things as far as what he would do.
Yeah, he had his teepee. We know that. It's fascinating because we have all these stories, right, of professional athletes, NFL players, NBA players, whatever. They just squander all their money. They spend lavishly, and then it's gone. And then you've got these that you hear about a lot less often of guys that don't spend any of their money. The Gronk story went viral a couple years ago where he was like, yeah, I've never spent any of my NFL salary. I just use my endorsement money to live on. And people are like, what? How do you pull that off? But obviously you can. And this is just fascinating. I mean, Steven Adams is a different cat. His, New Zealand roots, and it comes from that massive, massive family and all that type of stuff.
17 kids.
Yeah.
So that's how he grew up. It's a different culture right now. And good for him. And for the Rockets, he's hurt. And so he's sitting out, and they need him badly because he's a contributor. He's one of the best screeners in the NBA. And Sean, he's a free spirit with the swag.
All right, we're going to take one more break. Gordy's going to join us one more segment, and we'll do his list, and then we'll cut him loose. Eric Weddle's going to join us in hour number 3. Sounds like that'll have to be about 1:15, so a programming note there. Eric Weddle at 1:15 instead of at 1 o'clock when he normally joins us. Plenty left to get to on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Gordy Chiesa has been kind enough to hang us out with us for an hour, and even more kind in that our schedule with Morgan Scally got shifted around a little bit, so we had to push Gordy back to the full noon hour instead of 11:30 to 12:30. Always appreciate you being accommodating, Gordy. If you missed the Morgan Scally interview, you can find it at ESPN700sports.com or on the ESPN 700 app. And I I bet that they'll play at least some of it on the drive with Spence Checketts later today. But we're still talking a little hoop with Gordy Chiesa. Jazz versus the Spurs tonight at the Delta Center. And then it'll be a 6-game. They got a 6-game homestand.
Well, this is the 5th one of a 6-game homestand.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, the 2nd one tonight. So there'll be it's 6 total. And the games are, so quickly, here's the homestand would be. Recently it was the Timberwolves, then the Spurs, the Heat on Saturday, then next Tuesday the Clippers, which is 8 o'clock start. That game's on Peacock. Next Wednesday the Warriors, and the following Friday, January 30th, the Nets. So this is the 2nd game of a 6-game homestand. Then the Jazz go away for 5 straight games. And welcome to the NBA, where a lot of it's these long homestands and then these really competitive road trips. And that's when you earn your dollars when you go in on the road.
Yeah, the road trip after this long homestand: Toronto, Indiana, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami. So long travel for those ones.
And Sean, just for a note, is that the Jazz will be in Atlanta on trading deadline day. So Thursday, February 5th, those players will be in Atlanta, which means also on Wednesday, the day before the trading deadline, they'll be in Atlanta because the Jazz play Tuesday on February 3rd in Indiana. So usually speaking, you fly after the game to the next site or the next day, probably in the morning, either or, based on what's going on. And so that's an interesting time, Sean, where everyone's circling around your team about who might be traded, whether it's true or not. But the players know about it because their loved ones keep telling them, and their agents, they're on the phone all the time talking to them, that it's possible you might not be traded, or don't believe that it's not. And so it's really interesting where your world will change for you for a player. We used to always counsel the guys, Sean, that if we traded you, that we appreciate what you did, and then we'd brace the new guy we traded for. He would come into the locker room, and that it's all part of the professional sports where you might have to relocate to stay employed. So if someone moves you on, that means someone also wants you as far as being on their team. So it's both.
All right, Gordy, what is the list today?
The list today is the New Orleans, Utah Jazz, Korea triple-double game leaders. It's a very short list. The New Orleans Jazz, Utah Jazz, Korea triple-double game leaders. What's a triple-double? A triple-double is recorded when a player registers 10 or more in 3 of the following 5-game categories. They are 1, points, 2, assists, 3, rebounds, 4, steals, and 5 block shots. The New Orleans Jazz first season as an NBA franchise was the 1974-75 campaign, which means that 51 seasons of New Orleans and Utah Jazz basketball. Here's the list of only 11 players that had a triple-double in their career. Gail Goodrich had 1. Joe Merriweather had 1, and both those guys played for the New Orleans Jazz. Adrian Dantley had 1. Danny Shays had 1. Carlos Boozer had 1. Jordan Clarkson had 1. Yusuf Nurkic had 1 the other day, a triple-double versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. With 3 triple-doubles, they are Karl Malone and Andrei Karolinko. The second most triple-doubles in Jazz history is Mark Eaton with 6.
Wow.
And the number 1 player in New Orleans, Utah Jazz history for the most career triple-doubles is Pete Maravich with 7. So only 11 players in Jazz history of all the guys played of 51 seasons had a regular season triple-double. What about John Stockton? John Stockton played for the Jazz for 19 years. He played spectacularly in 1,504 career games. He never had a regular season triple-double game. He had 1 triple-double was in a playoff battle versus the Dallas Mavericks on April 28th, 2000. I remember the game vividly. He scored 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. So that's how hard it is. So Yusuf Nurkic the other day with that unbelievable, Sean, grapefruit passing with that ball, had registered 10 assists besides the rebounds and points. And he joined a very, very exclusive club of only 11 players in Jazz history, triple-double.
Who will finish their NBA careers with more triple-doubles? Russell Westbrook, the current record holder, or Nikola Jokic, who is 27 behind him?
Jokic. Absolutely. Jokic could get a triple-double literally in 8/10 of his games in his career, the way he plays. Again, think about the criteria. Rebounds, assists, points, steals, and block shots. He could do that literally almost every game, and he has. He's hurt right now, so he's out of sight, out of mind. But he is absolutely a triple-double. He is so, and also, Sean, he's another guy, young guy, Alperen Şengün from the Houston Rockets. He's a younger version of Nikola Jokic, and he's also, guys. So it's so amazing that both these big guys, including Yusuf Nurkic, all these European guys from the Baltic states, meaning what? As far as Bosnia and Lithuanian, all these different players, including, say, Domantas Sabonis, also triple-doubles. He's hurt right now. Also, he's back now off injury, but he was hurt during the start of the season. All these big guys have so many great passing skills. So it should be Nikola Jokic. So enjoy him right now, all the basketball fans. I know he's a Jazz nemesis. You play against him in the same division, but he's really a spectacular player.
That's Gordy Chiesa, our resident NBA guru. Gordy, it's always great to see you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Sean. Peace out.
Eric Weddle's going to join us in about 15 minutes. We've got a leaderboard update. We got a daily dump of a potpourri of stories for you. It's a jam-packed 1 o'clock hour on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Eric Weddle's going to join us in about 10 minutes here on the Sean O'Connell Show. There's a lot in the Daily Dump I wanted to get to, so I guess I'll peel a couple of those stories off here, and we can – this is the one I really want to focus on, all right? The San Francisco 49ers, as an organization, are officially investigating the power substation next to the practice facility. John Lynch was like, hey, if anyone has any studies, any information, let us know. This is the biggest double-edged sword for the San Francisco 49ers you could find. The correct solution is the one that I already gave them last week. Just move the practice field. Don't have to tell anybody why. Everyone kind of already knows. But spend the money. Build yourself a new practice facility. Buy a piece of land over here. Swap the parking lot places, whatever you want to do. Let's say, James Peterson, that the San Francisco 49ers conduct a thorough investigation, and because it serves my conspiracy purposes better, they find that there's even a nominal effect of this power substation next to their practice field on collagen health, on hydration, on whatever the scientists or pseudoscientists are claiming could potentially be the harm of having your Gauss meter readings next to the power substation. Let's say they find even like the tiniest minor effects are possible. What does that mean for the San Francisco 49ers? Let's string this thing out to the end. What does it mean?
It means they probably should move the practice field, right? And I'm with you, like, no investigation needed. Don't make this bigger than it needs to be.
But what happens is if they pay for a study, if they commission a study, even if they don't, but they just encourage a study, and that study even remotely suggests that this is affecting the health of their players, what this results in for the San Francisco 49ers is litigation from literally every single player.
How naive of me to not
that has had an injury
right
on the team in, I think, 1986 is when they put that substation there.
Well, how about Greenlaw, the linebacker who tore his Achilles, or was it his ACL, and jumping into game action in the Super Bowl, in which kind of played a part in dooming your Niners against the Chiefs a couple years ago, losing one of your best linebackers. That's a notable injury you can think of, and so many last year and this year too. Yeah, you're right. A lot of litigation. Naive of me, like I was saying, to not think of that right away. Also, you risk getting you risk getting inundated from everyone outside of your organization and a lot of people inside your organization when it comes to players and stuff. Being inundated by those people with, how could you let these guys practice? Look at this proves there was levels of whatever of EMF that's causing them injuries. How could you let this happen? Even if you don't lose a bunch of money from litigation, you're going to get just move the field. Don't encourage us. Don't do a study. Don't encourage studies. Like, if I'm John Lynch, I don't even bring it up in the press conference.
You just
yesterday.
say, hey, guys, you know what? We're going to put everyone's minds at ease. We're moving this facility. And then the follow-up question, right? People, well, why are you moving it if you don't think it's a big issue? Well, you know what? The peace of mind of our players is just as important to us as anything else. So we're moving this facility. There is nothing other than disaster that can strike here for the San Francisco 49ers unless, of course, and here's the other end of the conspiracy theory, unless, of course, they're just like, hey, we're hiring you to conduct a study that shows that this does not affect injuries at all.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we are going to be bankrupted by the agents of these players.
And you know what? That's probably the quiet confidence behind John Lynch and the organization deciding to open that up is like, they're not going to find anything.
Okay.
They're going to find something, though.
Well, that's the thing.
That's the thing.
We all know how studies that are inconclusive end up working. It's like every new pharmaceutical drug has the lens in the most profitable position, right? They'll just be like, all right, what's is this Sky Rizzy? We keep seeing these damn commercials for Sky Rizzy.
You hear him a little bit on the station too.
Is Sky Rizzy
national partners?
Is Sky Rizzy good for you? What can it cure? And then it's like, oh yeah, it gets rid of your eczema. And then the side effects that they list off are like death, dismemberment, hair loss, brain loss.
A lot of this is such bad mental health side effects too, suicide ideation.
It's insane,
it's
right?
Terrible.
So they'll be like, hey, do you want to get rid of your itchy elbows, but potentially also have crippling diarrhea for the rest of your life? It's these studies are always pointed in the direction that people want them to be pointed. We're like, hey, we found a positive effect over here. Never mind the rest of this, right? So the San Francisco 49ers, like in the best case scenario, are at least going to be accused of, if the study comes back clean, they're at the very least going to be accused of trying to repress what would have been damaging information for them. The correct thing to do, as soon as there was any idea that this might be an issue, and apparently this is something that players have been talking about for years. Like Navarro Bowman did an interview and he was talking about it. Oh, like, yeah, we used to joke about that thing or whatever.
Famously injured in a NFC Championship game, Navarro Bowman. Bowman, by the way.
The first time that you ended up having a player that was just like, hey, man, my weird hippie nutritionist says that this is a problem, you got to be like, all right, well, we're printing money here in Santa Clara. We're the York family. We have billions of dollars. I'm going to spend $50 million to tear up a parking lot, to lay down some turf, and to build a nice little practice facility with a nutrition lab in it. Because
somewhere far away from this substation.
Here's the thing. I hate this. This is my favorite professional sports organization on the planet. I hate this, but there's no positive outcome that I can foresee here.
I agree with you. Here's a positive. Maybe they can get a Netflix sponsorship, because this is very Stranger Things. Just hey Netflix, do we know whether or not Demogorgons had anything to do with these injuries? Because apparently, I've been hearing, are they going to make some kind of knockoffs or progress the story with different characters? Am I hearing that right with Stranger Things?
I think that's all conspiracy.
Maybe it's not. Yeah, fits right in.
Did you? I mean, you saw the fan theory that the season finale was not actually the season finale or the series finale. Did you see this?
I missed that.
Okay, there was this whole thing where,
by the way, I'm not with the people that hated this season 5 or the series finale. I thought it was great.
Anyway,
moving on.
There was a whole large group of people that were taking little Easter eggs and finding things in the series finale. They were like, oh, that's not happening in real life. This is like an alternate reality.
I heard a little bit of this. There's not enough waterfalls at the end. Not to spoil. It's still new enough. We don't want to put out any spoilers. But you hear throughout the season, Mike and Elle are going to go someplace with a certain amount of waterfalls, and there's like one less at the end.
So there's like this whole thing. There was this whole fan theory, this segment of the internet that was just like, look at this. This would not, if we're staying with the canon of the show, and these electromagnetic weapons are being directed at Elle, she's not able to do this thing that supposedly she was doing. So there was this whole, because anyone who watched Stranger Things, right, you realize that there's Hawkins, there's the Upside Down. They figure out that there's maybe some in-between world with Vecna and all that stuff. And the fans did their work, and they looked at it and said, these things that they tried to button up the show with aren't possible. If this is true, then that can't be true. So they were like, they lied to us, and what they're doing is they're secretly filming and releasing a true series finale at a later date. And then the Duffer Brothers, who actually made the show and wrote the show and created the show, and the show is nothing if not figments of their imagination, they came out and they're just like, no, guys, that was it. We're done. And all the actors were just like, no, that's it. It's over. And all the fans were like, no, it's not.
Part of the conspiracy.
No, it isn't. You guys are not. That's not true. I would like to see the Venn diagram between those people and, like, flat earthers. You just wonder. So, yeah, the San Francisco 49ers apparently truly looking into whether or not injuries were partially or fully attributed to this electromagnetic substation next to their practice field. Not good. All right, what a great pleasure. Earlier today, Morgan Scalley, new head coach for the University of Utah, and, of course, one of the all-time great safeties in the history of the program. He joined us to start the show, and now as we reach the end of the show, another Utah football legend and my friend Eric Weddle joins us. E-Dub, hello, welcome back. How are you?
My brother, hey, I didn't get to hear the interview, so I want you to recap a little bit for me, and then maybe I can piggyback off of some of those questions and answers, and we can, like, double down on this awesome interview I've heard about.
Okay, so here's what happened. I brought him on, and I was like, hey, how come Eric Weddle has a standing job offer, but I don't have a standing job offer with Utah football? And no, that's look, it was a lot of what you would expect. We asked him about what, the identity of his offense is going to be. He's very, very excited about Kevin McGivern. I asked him how he got both quarterbacks to stay because, they were getting phone calls. Their agents were getting phone calls. And, the culture of Utah football is alive and well with Morgan Scalley at the helm, Eric.
No question. I've been trying to express that over the few weeks, and you as well. And obviously, there's still uncertainty. There's still the product has to show what he's saying, which it will. But people are gonna be skeptical until otherwise. But it's nice to get him out there and get these conversations going, and more people are going to see what we all know and understand of Morgan and his direction, his vision, his passion is really, we all love Coach Witt, and everyone knows that, but there are some things that Morgan's going to bring just from a connection standpoint that you're already feeling around the building, through the staff, through the players, and that's really cool to see, especially in the dynamics of athletics in today's world.
He's obviously got the charisma that we know him for as well, which that's a difference in, like, I don't know how concrete of a difference it can make in recruiting and things like that, but he is, like, easy to talk to, easy to get along with, and Kyle Whittingham is one of those guys that you kind of had to grow on him a little bit, and he had to grow on you from his communication style. Morgan could strike up a conversation with a fire hydrant. You know what I mean? So I don't know what that's going to do from a football standpoint, but it's a heck of a treat when you're a media guy. I'll tell you that.
It'll pay dividends. I can promise you that, because players, when they feel connected, they feel a relationship that's bigger than football. They're gonna do and buy in to what you want them to do quicker and at a higher clip. So it's going to pay dividends. And what was interesting, I saw on Twitter that some people comment on the interview, and I saw one that he said, like, since he hadn't been anywhere else, the relationships and the connection that you. Hold on a second. Trying to open the gate to my high school here. There we go.
He's the head coach. Let him in, Rancho Bernardo.
Seriously, I got to put in some code to let me in the gate so I can park. Anyways, I thought it was interesting, and I'm sure he didn't go into specifics, but every offseason, it was really cool for me to hear this, is other schools like the Oklahomas, the Clemsons, the big-time programs, when they went out to get better, to improve, to see other places, guess where they went? They went to Utah to see Morgan and his defense and his philosophy and stuff like that. And what do you think Morgan did over the last decade plus, he's going out and evaluating and learning and growing and leadership and program building. So it was awesome to hear like a little tidbit of someone wrote that his explanation of how he's been working for 15 years on being the head coach and building those relationships because he knew one day he'd be a head coach.
Well, I actually did ask him about that because I wanted to give him the opportunity to kind of explain that, how, on paper, it can be a negative if you've been in one place for your whole career and you don't have the same spider web of network and things like that. And he told a great story about how his first coaches convention, or one of his first coaches conventions, Urban Meyer actually said, "Hey, Morgan, you got to get out from under the shadow and you got to get out in the country so people know who you are." And it would be the easiest thing to do would be to take the advice of your one-time head coach who led you to the highest peak of your college football career. You'd be like, yeah, I'll do whatever this guy says. But Morgan was actually a skeptic of that, even though it was Urban Meyer who told him and said, I don't actually think that's necessary as long as I do the work. And so he did the work. And he stayed at Utah, but like you said, and like he said, he was able to go out and make those connections. And look, I think that the most obvious place that we're going to see that in this first season as a head coach is the Kevin McGiven hire, because they've never worked together, but they have some common connections. And then Coach Brechterfield, the defensive ends coach that he brought in, that the connections are even looser. That's a very, very important position in this defense. You know it better than me. And that's just two examples of how that work is going to pay off for this Utah football team.
No question. And, as a coach, you're either learning, growing, or you're getting left behind. And that's on every level, from a coaching standpoint, how you teach, how you motivate, how you inspire, the fundamentals. There's so many different ways to do things nowadays, right? And I think some, in the grand scheme, like there's a certain standard, there's rules like within the defense, within the offense, but there's different ways to practice. There's different ways to schedule. There's different ways to work out. Let's find the best, right? The best way to do it that makes sense, and let's go execute it with the vision and the goals in mind. And I seeing that and being like a little fly on the wall in some of those interactions with the interviews and just getting my opinion on stuff, it was really cool because I know he's doing it the right way. I know what he's trying to build for the future is in my opinion, the right way to do it. And so it's easy to get behind him and see what it's going to be, because I think it's going to be something special in the years to come.
I also asked him how he knew, like a Jordan Gross, who doesn't have a wealth of coaching experience. I mean, from a coaching standpoint, he's underqualified to be the offensive line coach at a place like Utah right now. But obviously from a playing and football experience and sort of real perspective, he's far from being underqualified. He just doesn't have the level of experience. And I asked him how he knew. And he was like, oh, come on. He's the smartest guy in every room, and his development, his own growth as a player, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you played with a bunch of different dudes. And if I asked any of them, I'd say, who did you play with who you know could be a great coach? Your name comes up from every one of those guys. The guys that you played with that you know will be great coaches, or you knew if they already jumped into coaching would be great coaches, just by how they handled the job of a player.
Phillip obviously comes to mind. Nick Hardwick, who's coaching with the Chargers right now, is the assistant O-line coach. I think Andrew Whitworth would be an incredible coach, but I think he could be an even better GM one day. And we've talked about, him being the lead guy and you and I be his little runners and coffee goers if he needs it. But, a lot of people, I think, like, you would get those same sentiments if Morgan hired me on the staff.
Yeah.
And then would anyone with a logical brain not say he's going to be and would be and will be one of the best secondary coaches in the entire world? So whether I had college coaching experience or not, but that's that's for others to talk about. But within the building, you just know, like when you're talking ball, you're talking scheme, you're talking techniques, fundamentals. Like some people have it who are ex-players. Some people don't, and that's okay. Coaching's not for everybody. Can you relay? Can you teach what made you a good professional to younger generations and get them to try to do what you do? It's not easy, but it can be done. And on the flip side, I would say anyone that's a head coach in high school is probably more qualified than anyone to coach college or the NFL, because we're getting guys to do things they have no business playing football. So if we can do that, imagine what we could do with really talented guys who are motivated that want to be the best. So I think it's kind of a funny question for him. Yeah, he's going to learn to recruit and the dynamics of that with the parents, the runners, and the agents, and this and that. Like, yeah, like, okay, everyone has to change with that because it wasn't the same 5 years ago. So I was pumped when he hired him. I think he's a rock star, and we're lucky to have him.
All right, we got to talk a little NFL here. We're down to AFC and NFC championship games. I'm sure
Niners are still in it, right?
Why do you do this? Why? There's no reason.
I wasn't able to watch the games last week.
I
don't know what happened.
There's no reason for you to come on my show and try to hurt me like this. All right? That's just mean. That was embarrassing.
So they won or they lost? Like, can you recap that game for me real quick?
They did not win the game, Eric. You know it, and I know it. It was one of the worst performances.
As a fan of the Niners, okay, honest question. What is your opinion on how the Ayuk situation was supposedly handled, not handled, and how disgruntled and frustrated was Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch trying to comprehend what had happened with Ayuk? Can you just chime in on that?
Well, you know more about it than I, because you can talk to these actual people that are involved in this type of thing. But look, I'm of the opinion, and I know that this is an outdated sort of mentality, especially when you're talking about pro athletes and wide receivers, most likely in particular. But like, I don't want diva type players, no matter how talented they are. And he strikes me as a guy who thought as soon as he had 2 good seasons in the NFL, deserved to have the red carpet rolled out for him in every situation. I don't know how you coexist with that mentality when you have 52 other guys on the roster that deserve that respect, that deserve the money, that deserve a couple of targets a game, et cetera, et cetera. He just felt like an awful fit for an organization that feels kind of team first, but what's your assessment of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on all that. I think you can get by with those types if your leadership is really strong and your players, your older leader players, keep that guy in check, right? Like, you know, receivers are you kind of want them selfish. They're going to be that way. That's okay, but you gotta somewhat at the end of the day be team first. At the end of the day, right? And so ultimately, I just go back to the fact that they should never extended them. They should have traded them. And they were on the brink of it, and Kyle Shanahan at the last second, from what I've read, you know, like they got a deal done and they were pumped about it. But, man, they could have got a couple first-round picks, maybe at least one, and would have got rid of the headache. So that makes me think that it wasn't always bad. Like, I think he was maybe a good team guy, and then it just kind of went awry with the injury and, you know, I don't know. And I really don't care at the end of the day because they're the Niners and they lost. So let's just talk about the Rams.
Wait, before we move on, did you like the conspiracy theory of the Niners practice facility being too close to that electric substation and stuff? How prone to these types of things are NFL guys? Like if you're, because it's never my fault if I get injured, and I didn't do anything wrong if I got injured, and I would definitely be like, it's because of that power station. You guys ruined it for me. Like, they're actually doing an investigation on this. Where do you stand?
Well, I think injuries, there is an uptick at the Niners. Like that's not like not true, right? Like over the last few years, I think it's the marijuana, the smoking, and the bad eating, and staying up late playing video games and not working out like they used to. I think that's the real reason with injuries. But I'll be the old head, and they'll be like, "You're dumb," because I didn't like to do yoga, and I don't like to do, stretch for 30 minutes before practice, and then do another 15-minute dynamic, and then all this other crap. It's like, guys, we're wasting like so much time. Like, let's just go work out, get strong. Let's practice for 5-8 minutes, and let's get to work. But these guys that they got to do all this other crap. So I don't know. I do know like the EMF stuff there is some what's the word, information, like data that says when you're around it. This is like the same thing with Bluetooth. You shouldn't listen to your headphones with Bluetooth more than an hour or 2 hours, but we all do it. So, I mean, I don't know. There's so much that's going to hurt us in the long run. But it's good that they're trying to see it out, if it's true or not. And I don't know how they're going to ever prove it one way or the other. But if it is affecting the guys, then they should move their facility.
Eric Weddle's our guest for a few more minutes here on the Sean O'Connell Show. More importantly, the matchups for a championship weekend and your Rams, I'm calling them your Rams because that's where you won a Super Bowl. Your Rams are in it. And
yeah, baby.
I mean, it was crazy how we saw in the two games that played out so similarly, overtime situation, turnover, et cetera, catch, no catch, all that. But how confident are you that the Rams are on their way to a Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, confidence is always I'm always confident, right? But this is a huge challenge. They're rested. They blew out a no-name team in the divisional round, so they're going to be coming in. They had that big comeback a few weeks back. At the end of the day, we got Stafford and we got Sean, and we have the experience in big games. They're Super Bowl champions. You gotta think that amounts for something. Now, does it overcome how good Seattle is across the board? I'm not sure. Mike is up for Coach of the Year. Everyone knows how much I respect and love him. I still talk to him. The offense runs through the running game. If they if they limit first and second down yardage and make Sam throw the ball 25 times or more, I think they win the game. I really do. And I think offensively for the Rams, they'll have success. I don't think it'll be the 450 yards, 38 points, or whatever they did a few weeks back. I think it's going to be much more difficult to move the ball. But at the end of the day, in an evenly matched teams, you go with the best quarterback, and that's Stafford.
The interception that everyone was debating, for me, on the Brandon Cooks catch, was an interception. I imagine you usually err on the side of the defensive back, but you tell me, was that a pick or a catch?
Anyone that knows the rule and actually looks at the rule and understands what they're going off of it, it's an interception all day, every day. And it's kind of odd to see the amount of people that are actually football supposed experts saying it's a catch. And, it's just unfortunate. You're in that situation, you're jumping, you're coming down, you didn't make a football move, so you gotta survive the ground. And the ground means getting the ball taken away as you're rolling through the ground. So don't get the ball taken away. Don't turn the ball over 5 times, Josh Allen. Don't do dumb things before half to give up a field goal. So many people are up in arms. I just go back. There are a few instances you go to the Rams game, and it was a very similar situation. I don't know if you watched the game and saw Devontae Adams catch that ball over the middle.
Yes.
And
tie game, fourth quarter.
tie game, et cetera. And it was pretty much the same situation, but the refs and the way they looked at that play is he got 2 feet down and made a football move, quotation marks. Like, in my mind, I thought it was the same as the Bills one.
I did too.
An interception.
I thought that the Bears should have got the ball there, and that the Bills Broncos one was the correct call.
Yes, and so, but I also understand what they saw, and they deemed that as a football move, and then his knee went down. So if that goes by that rule, it's a catch, and he's down by his knee. And then on the Cooks one, that's what they said. So, again, it goes back to the whole Des Bryant catch against Green Bay. You know, like, this is when it all started because that should have been a catch, and Dallas may be in the NFC Championship game, but they're not. And even to this day, odd years later, we still have these issues. And until the competition committee and all this other crap stop changing the rules and get back to what the game was 20 years ago, it was much more pure and much more of a sound rules and font, you know, like a playing field that everyone knew what's a catch, what's not, what's a rough in the passer, what's not. Can we hit someone? Can we not? Can we hit a guy up top and not get kicked out, or do we blow out people's knees? Like, that's what it's turned into, and, you know, but I'm sure they love it because we're talking about it, and it's drama. And, again, at the end of the day, it's an entertainment, and they're trying to get eyes watching the entertainment.
Yeah, you're probably right. We're probably playing right into it by having these debates. All right, so before we let you go, the Super Bowl matchup when we talk this time next week is going to be who?
It's going to be Rams-Patriots rematch of a few years back, and Sean gets his get back on one of his, you know, what he said, one of his lowest moments as a coach in the Super Bowl, getting shut down by Belichick, and gets his revenge in that. So Rams Super Bowl champs.
What a shocking pick from Eric Weddle.
Turkey.
Oh, great talking to you as always. Thanks for joining us, dude.
You got it, bro. Love you.
Love you, dude. That's Eric Weddle, Utah football legend. He says Rams, Patriots. I think Stidham, all of the conversation around Jarrett Stidham is that he should have been the starter all along. He's the better player. That's how Broncos country feels. Let's ride. Even Russell Wilson says it. All right. Got to take a quick one. We'll come back. Zach Partridge from Fierce Fighting Championships. They've got a really good event going on at the Masonic Temple this weekend. We'll talk a little bit about it and some other news in the combat sports world. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. brother or his uncle? Sean O'Connell Show, closing things down here in a little bit. We've got some giveaways for you. 5-Finger Death Punch and PBR coming up on February 6th and 7th. 877-353-0700. If you can answer this trivia question. We had Gordy Chiesa on earlier. We were talking triple doubles. He told us the Jazz men with the largest number of triple doubles in their career. The current NBA all-time leader in career triple doubles is fill in the blank, 877-353-0700. And you'll get 5-Finger Death Punch and PBR tickets. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, you're in luck, okay? Saturday night, you're going to watch some fights. Sunday, you're going to watch some football. You've got an AFC and NFC championship. The Masonic Temple is one of the coolest venues. If you've not taken my word for it yet, you have not gotten out to one of these fierce fighting championship events at the Masonic Temple, that's fine because you've saved maybe the right event to make your first impression. This is a big one. Latu versus Hatch in the main event. Zeke Latu, Jerome Hatch. Jerome Hatch has been around. He's been doing it since he was fighting before my first fight in the local Utah MMA scene. Oh, yeah. I remember Zach Partridge, Fierce Fighting Championships here in the Broadway studios with us. I remember I went to my very first fighter meeting for the Ultimate Combat Experience. That was the only show in town basically back then. Drive out to the gym that he had in West Valley. Any prospective fighters could be here, a little Q&A, whatever. I remember walking in and everyone, of course, sizing each other up, looking around. And the Hatch brothers were already in there. They were already 6-7 fights deep, and they were just like, yeah, what if we do this? What if we do this? I was like, who are these yahoos? So he had already had fights before I even took my very first one. He's been an OG. He's been around.
He's the guy. I mean, he's a dying breed. I say it all the time, and he's coming up. There's sanctioned fights, and then there's back in the day when they weren't recording them as well. This is his 188th fight and his 50th fight in Utah.
That's wild. And he's done a little bit of everything, right? Dabbled in the bare knuckle. He still had a lot of success. He won a major organization championship in bare knuckle.
He did, and I mean, he didn't even fight MMA last year, but he went 3-1 in bare knuckle and beat a UFC vet. And they were bringing in Jerome for that fight to lose to build this UFC vet. And then what does Jerome do? Does what he does best, and shocks everybody. Beats that guy up. That guy gets carried out on a stretcher. He goes 3-1 last year in bare knuckle, and he wants to fight all the time so much. They said, "Do you have anything for me?" And they said, "Not right now. Sit tight." And he goes, "Okay, I'm gonna go do this MMA fight on 2 weeks' notice." Then
that's awesome. And look, I know that it can be a curse on a card if you say this one's not going to the judges, right? There's the old cliche.
This one's not going to the judges.
There's just absolutely no shot that Zeke Latu and Jerome Hatch you could send the judges home. Main event, they get off early, they're done. Their scorecards are not going to be needed. Both these guys have big knockout power.
Well, and we've seen one of the best fights we've ever seen at Fierce was the last time we went to UVU in 2024. Jerome went the distance in a 5-round title fight that was incredible, and it was exciting for 25 minutes. But Zeke never goes to a decision. That's just the way it is. And so the way Zeke fights and the way Jerome fights, honestly, I'd be surprised if it gets out of the first round, but that could happen, I guess.
If you're looking to see a large, tough man get knocked out, then this is the card for you.
Absolutely. And Zeke's coming off of a knockout win at the Maverick Center last August. 13 seconds, knocked a guy out that is gone 4-1 in his last 5 heavyweight fights, and Zeke was the one that he lost to. So he knocked out a really tough guy, Danny Trejo, and then Jerome's just been staying busy. But that is the beautiful thing when Zeke had an opponent pull out in December. He's supposed to be on our December card. He pulled out. And then we tried to get him rebooked and didn't work out. And then we went through a couple of opponents, and I just said, I know who will take the fight if we can get it. Your boy, Andy Boquette, he's like, have you hit up Jerome? And I was like, not yet, but I know he'll do it. It's just, And that's the other thing. And you know this too. You came up in a day and age where the Utah fighters fought each other all the time.
Yeah.
We've kind of gotten away from that. We'd like to bring guys in and build.
Well,
always build the Utah guys.
A
Right?
lot of the Utah guys, they train together now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even Zeke and Jerome had the opportunity to fight at one point last year. And the reality was Zeke was like, I like Jerome. Like, we're around each other at the fights. Like, he's somebody I can, we're friendly, and so it didn't materialize. But when you explain to it, like, this is what makes the biggest fights, when the whole fan base knows both guys.
Yes.
And even Zeke texts me, and he's like, I can't believe the amount of support I'm getting for this, because people are excited for him to fight somebody like Jerome, and everybody's usually really excited to see Jerome on a card because they know what he brings. So for an 11-fight card, but to end with that, there are so many people that are coming to this card just to see that fight.
Yeah. And look, one of the reasons I love a fight like this one is because you and I have talked about this. There's a lot of guys that are coming up that maybe haven't fought on the biggest of the big shows yet, and they're trying to cultivate a record, and they're trying to protect this, and they don't want a tough fight because of that. And this matchup is two guys that, even if they're friendly with each other, even if they kind of know each other, even if I train with his friend and he trained with my friend and he might know my secrets and I might know his secrets, it's just like, no, man, I want to fight.
Yep.
And so records kind of be damned and the politics of it be damned. I'm going to go out and fight. Like, Zeke Latu could very easily say, that guy's got 5 times as many fights as me, just sanctioned.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, I'm not going to bite off more than I can chew from an experience standpoint. But he takes the fight, and Jerome Hatch will fight. Jerome Hatch will fight his grandma for the right price.
Yeah, but by the way, too, Jerome's fought for us his last couple of fights. He's fought for our 185 title. He's fought for our 205 title. It was our 205 champ at one point. Zeke's 260-plus pounds, every bit of a heavyweight.
Yeah.
And Jerome's Jerome's down to fight him. I'm pretty sure if he gets his hand raised, he'll be calling out Kent Mafaleo, who's been our perennial heavyweight champ, who trains with Zeke as well. The big, he's here for everybody.
He's here for violence.
So, for a guy, and that's why I say I don't make him anymore, let alone one person not protect their record, but go up multiple weight classes. I mean, Jerome's stature-wise, if you look at him.
He's what, 5'10"?
Yeah, I'm taller than he is, but you go shake his hand and his forearms are calf muscles and he's a big blue-collar dude.
Like, he's an iron worker, like an iron worker, a welder or something like that.
Yeah.
He's just, it's a little bit of a throwback. Like I said, I've known Jerome, 2007 was when we first met each other. So I've known him almost 20 years now. We fought on a lot of the same cards. And heck, I'm sure if I hadn't retired, we would have fought each other at some point. But
I'm sure. Hey, if you want to do one more, I know the guy that would say yes.
Don't tempt me with a good time. I gotta.
I heard you still like to go into the gym and bang a little.
Every once in a while, The wife doesn't really enjoy it when I come back with bumps and bruises.
Time, Sean.
Don't do that. You can't afford me.
I'm a promoter, dude. Of course I'm going to try.
You can't afford my fees. That's what I'm going to tell myself anyway. Best way to get tickets. Do you even have tickets available?
Absolutely. FierceFightingChampionship.com. You can go onto the event page and click the link. You pick your favorite fighter. Again, I'm going to always tout this for the fighters. When you pick them to support them, they get a piece of that back. So I always tell people, don't give Fierce the whole pot. Support the fighters and pick one of the fighters and click on one of their pictures, and that'll give them credit. And maybe if you're going for that fight, whoever you think's going to win, maybe go click on them and put a couple extra bucks in their pocket too.
I think that's great, and it's the way things are done at the lower levels of the sport. When you're climbing up, you got to sell tickets. You got to. Yep. And I remember those days when my actual purse was $100, but I got $500 from the ticket sales because people supported me. It's a big deal, man, and it makes you feel cool when folks are chanting your name in your hometown or whatever. So outside of this main event, which we spent a lot of time on, which fight are you most intrigued by on the card, you think?
Oh, man, there's a handful. The main card's really good. I mean, honestly, the prelims are about as good and loaded as you can look at. If I'm going to have to circle one on the prelims, I'm probably going to look at James Iona versus Hunter Birdsley. They have a total. They are both 1-0 at 205. James Iona's original opponent unfortunately had to pull out with an injury last week, and we called Hunter Birdsley, who James Iona filled in for Hunter Birdsley in August at the Maverick Center card when he had to pull out. So come full circle, now they're fighting each other, and they, between the two of them, I believe, have about 58 seconds of fight time. I mean, both of their fights lasted less than 30 seconds. So with knockout. So that's another one at 205, two amateurs, 1-0 amateurs that, judges, you can probably take a break on that one because they have the way they fight, both of them, there's no other outcome than somebody's getting knocked out.
If you are an old school MMA fan in the state of Utah, that name Birdsley just perked your ears up because James Birdsley was one of the guys that, I mean, just an absolute menace back in the early days of the sport here. A guy who honestly should have and could have made it to the big leagues. Just every time he was close, something dumb would happen. And that's just kind of the legacy, unfortunately. But I got to figure out how – I think Hunter is his nephew. And if I'm correct there, then Hunter's dad would be Ryan Birdsley, who I trained with also for a long time. So you got to find this out for me. But I trained with James back in the day. I trained with Ryan. And Ryan always had like a job. Like he was like a regular dad that was focused not on his MMA career. He was focused on his family and focused on, putting food on the table and stuff like that, but was an absolute monster. Incredibly tough, beautiful long-range striking, could not be knocked out. You get into those crazy rounds in the gym where it stopped being a sparring round and ended up being a fight. And this is he's like an accountant who then ended up running a CrossFit gym or something like that, and he's kicking your ass when you're a pro fighter. You're just like, man. So that Birdsley bloodline is made of something tough.
I just texted him to see if we can get the relation there, but what you just described is exactly how people describe him too. He's 6'3", 6'4", long, and yeah, he's an animal.
A former Olympus Titan, Hunter Birdsley.
Yeah.
So go check it out, man. And again, if you're a casual MMA fan and you're not sure if you're going to like the in-arena experience, the live experience, I don't want to be sitting clear up in the nosebleed seats, not a bad seat in the house at these Masonic Temple fights. It's this really cool atmosphere, a really cool vibe. The building is so fascinating. Walk around, look at the symbology and the weird portraits on the wall. It's neat, man.
It's cool. It's a 100-year-old building. I mean, that's our campaign this year is we're there to save the temple. People keep asking, why are you guys at the Masonic Temple? Well, it's because they were going to close their doors. They're very close without some events and things going on there that they would have to close their doors, and it would be a real shame to see that cool historical building go away. So that's a big part of the reason why we're there, and so that's part of our campaign is to bring awareness, and hopefully other people book events there as well. But, I mean, yeah, we love it there, and it's my favorite venue to watch fights at here in Utah. It really is. I know everybody's allured with the Maverick Center or whatever, it's really nice in there too, but it has the big show vibe, but the intimacy of the small regional show still too, and it's just really cool and unique.
I mean, it really is. I've watched fights in every setting all over the world. I've called fights. I'm lucky enough to do this, and it is one of the most unique and interesting places you're going to find one. And there really is not a bad seat because the bleacher seating, it's like almost vertical.
It's an auditorium, and it just goes straight up.
It just goes straight up. So you're never far away from the cage. Even if you're in the very, very last row, you're like 25 feet from the cage.
You're good. Yeah. It's awesome. We have an amateur title fight between Calvin Taylor and Tristan McDonald on the card. That's going to be really good. Calvin's he's an athletic freak. I trained with him. Tristan McDonald, he's down at Agema with Court McGee and that team, and he's a former Iowa State wrestler, and Calvin is a freak athlete wrestler. I mean, it's going to be very competitive, athlete versus technician, but they both have their strengths. And then Ricky Mamone is a guy that he was our amateur featherweight champ making his pro debut, and he can crack. And when I mean he can crack, like he sleeps people. Henry Cejudo was in town once. He actually came to Ricky and his brother Cam Whaler were fighting on a card together. Henry Cejudo was in town, actually came to the weigh-ins and was going to come check out the fights. And and he ended up inviting Ricky and his brother to train with him a little bit while he was in town, and he's like, these kids are he was all over it.
Dude,
so that tells you that the stamp of approval there.
They came down to the gym and I got to train with both of the brothers, and I'm 100 pounds bigger than both of them, and they don't care. They're formidable, and the local kind Hawaiian guys. So this is a card if you're looking to get into the sport of MMA or you're just curious about it. This is a card. There's going to be a lot of exciting fights. There's going to be a lot of finishes. And one of my favorite things about grassroots MMA is you get to watch them before they become famous. And you get to say, oh, I saw that dude in his amateur fight, or I saw that dude in his first title fight, on a local scene before he ended up in the UFC or ended up in the PFL or whatever. So fiercefightingchampionship.com this Saturday, January 24th at the Masonic Temple. Doors open at 4. Fights start at 5. They will have vendors. They will have food. It's a great building. It's a great show. Zach will be there. Tell him OC sent you.
Absolutely. Come see me. Come check out. Get some R&R barbecue. We got great barbecue there. We got drinks. We got Bad Bev, which is a company that does like the mixed sodas. We have the alcohol beverages, and then we got for the non-drinkers, we have the really good sodas. Come have a good time. I mean, yeah, we're gonna have a blast. You can use coupon code. If you go to get tickets, you can use coupon code ESPN to get a discount on tickets too.
There it is. Coupon code ESPN, Fierce Fighting Championships. Thanks for coming in, dude. Good to see you.
Thank you.
The Drive and Spence Checketts are up next on Utah's #1 sports talk. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.